Folks, welcome to an all-new episode of So Bad It's Good. This is your pal Ryan, and this is your Friday episode. This is Labor Day weekend. You are potentially looking at a 3-day weekend, so let us take you into that sweet, not 2-day weekend, but 3-day weekend with a Real Housewives of Orange County recap. Plus, we'll be doing some news stories, including the Real Housewives of Potomac trailer that just released today, which was very exciting. How are you guys? Are you good? Are you happy? I got to tell you, old Ryan here feels old, man. I do not feel well. I can't tell if I'm getting sick or not, or if I'm just in Housewives overload. I think this Real Housewives of Orange County storyline has it's gotten me sick. It's gotten me naked wasted, folks. I am not wearing any pants right now. And I'm completely sober. I don't need to go to the hospital tomorrow. I don't know who to believe, I do know who to believe, and I know who I personally want to believe and what my hunches are. But at the same time, I do have to say, and I have said, if you point anywhere in this cast, I think you can rightfully say that most of these women have lied about something. And so it's a very slippery slope that this storyline is walking. I was on Jeff Lewis live this morning with Kiki Monique. You got to say both names. You can't just say Kiki. You got to say Kiki Monique. Kiki Monique. I love how many, talk about the free advertising for your name, not just the first name, the first and last name. And I got to joke with Kiki about that. And she kind of walked Jeff and I and the show through everything, but it's still a little confusing for me. And it's still, you're like, okay, but I don't know, the machinations of housewives or modern day housewives. I feel like, and I've said this so many times till I'm blue in the face, that this is turned into a game of Survivor instead of a group of women and their relationships. In fact, I went back to Real Housewives of Orange County season 4, episode 8, the Naked Wasted episode, just so I could refresh my memory and kind of, maybe be able to provide a little context for you guys. You can stream all episodes on Peacock. This is not an advertisement, but that's where I watched it. And it really is shocking. First off, the Gretchen getting hammered. She was hammered. She was really hammered. She was doing tons of tequila shots. And yes, Tamra had kind of set that up to make it made Gretchen look like a fool. I forgot how intensely Ryan, Tamra's son, was hitting on Gretchen. Hardcore hitting on Gretchen. It was really kind of a disturbing episode in that sense, but more disturbing for me watching that episode was to see how different housewives have become. If you go back and watch those earlier episodes or those earlier seasons, not just with Orange County, but with Beverly Hills, with Atlanta, it is like a whole different show. And it's so much more real. It really does seem like it's like a postcard from a certain period of time that you're like, oh, I remember those outfits, and it's so much more low key. Like, they weren't doing things like, we will hire a lie detector company and we will shock people. There were like small little surprises, but it was all based on relationships. And they seemed very real. And even in the mundane aspects of our lives, it was able to show those mundane aspects, and they were entertaining because it was real. Like I kept watching episodes of OC after that one, and there was one with Vicki's mom, rest in peace, and they were just having a good old time, just some red Solo cups drinking, and I was just like, nothing's really going on in this scene, but it's so real, and it's so reminiscent of our own lives. Or I was like, oh, that reminds me of my mom, or that reminds me of when I was a kid and I was watching my parents hang out with their friends. There was something so real about it and so refreshing because not that it is staged, but it's just so different. It's just, I don't want to, this is not complimentary, but it is just so produced. It is just like, okay, this happens here, and we got to end it with this big thing right here, and there's got to be a big surprise, and there's got to be a big mystery. Like, this season is all a big game of Clue, but it's not a murder. It's about who's lying, but like I said, I think everybody's lying, and so it's really ultimately an unsatisfying experience. Like, it gives us something to talk about, sure. Like, us bloggers, creators, journalists, whatever we're calling ourselves these days, it gives us something to yap about. But I would also just love to yap about something beautiful or disturbing that you see in a real relationship that's not based on any sort of low level fame of any sort of audience. And I think at this point, you can't put the rabbit back in the hat. So it's all based on audience perception. Like if you think about this OC storyline, it's all like potentially Katie wanting the audience to like her and wanting bloggers and creators to like her and trying to build a little Katie army because maybe she feels like all of these other people have fan bases and she's trying to make a mark on the show. And then I feel like, they all want to be there to promote some of their businesses. And I don't know, it just doesn't strike me as real. And it just strikes me as a bunch of people, like I always say, that are coworkers. Now, the only real relationship that I truly believe is a real friendship is Emily and Gina. And a lot of people, including Jeff Lewis on today's show, he does not like Emily and Gina. He wants them off. But at the same time, I feel like Emily and Gina would fit so much better in the 17-year-ago cast because there's an element of their lives are still somewhat real. In fact, when you see them on this show, they're trying to raise to the level of the insanity around them. And I think they are still kind of not hindered, but they still have such real life, being a mother, being a wife, being a girlfriend, like kind of these things that we all go through in life. And I think sometimes they've felt out of place because they're not off the rocker insane. I don't know. It's just weird. I think about this. This is my full-time job to think about this stuff. And I got to tell you, I'm stumped. And I don't know if I'm stumped or maybe if I'm just bored. And maybe it's just like, maybe it's gone too far. And I know they're not going to completely recast and start. Right now, Saturday Night Live, they're letting go of a bunch of cast members this week. They're making a bunch of announcements each day. New cast members are going to be announced probably next week. And Lorne Michaels seems to be putting a lot of people out to pasture in that cast. And which is ballsy because that dude's in his 80s. They just had the 50th anniversary special for SNL, 50 years of SNL. I swear to God, I have a point that I'll bring back to Housewives. But it's like, man, he is so far down the track. He could have just ridden his last couple of years out at SNL, but he wants to do a big cast shakeup. And I don't think Alex Baskin and the people that produce OC are going to do a big cast shakeup because next season is the 20th season. So I think they're going to look to tip their hat even more to what has come previously before. I'm hoping for a Jeana Keough. I'm hoping for a Vicki Gunvalson. I'm hoping for a Lynn Curtin, for the love of God. That's what I'm hoping for. But I don't think they're going to do a big cast shakeup. So I'm sitting here going, okay, has Gretchen earned a full-time spot next season? Potentially. But do I think Gretchen is lying about a couple of things? You're damn right I do. And I say that even though I don't agree with Gretchen's personal politics, I do tend to agree with certain things that she's done on this show. And I think she's a perfect foil for Tamra. And you can tell Tamra, even though she is obviously going through something because of Teddy Mellencamp, her partner and friend, but you can tell she's a little rattled. I don't think she was fully on her game going into this season and wasn't prepared to be questioned in the way that she has been questioned and commented on by Gretchen. So I don't know what they're going to do for the 20th season, but I think after the 20th season, they got to do a big cast shakeup. They got to just start from scratch. That's my own personal opinion. Now, there was some news that I hate to break this to you guys, and I kind of knew about this, but I didn't know it was starting this early, was that this was... Now, this was a source telling OK Magazine, but I've heard this myself before this article came out, that Katie Ginella will not appear on Real Housewives of Orange County for a while after the episode that was aired tonight. Quote, the August 28th episode is her last appearance for a while on the show. Bravo felt that all of the women were coming for her and decided to remove her from the mix for a bit. It was clear all of the women had planned to band together to take Katie down, and they ended up refusing to film with her. Okay, now we don't like that, right? If you listen to Jeff's show today, we all talked about how I don't like, even when it's Shannon, I don't like when people refuse to film with people. I don't like when people don't go on cast trips. Like Jersey was pissing me off for a while when people would do this. It's like, no, You know how privileged you are to have this? You know how privileged you are to potentially go to jail for being a housewife? You have to show up in the good, in the bad, and the ugly, right? And for then, I also do not like when people band together and say, we won't film with this person, which it seems like Orange County, these ladies have decided that Katie is the big bad. Katie is the big bad. And yes, I do believe Katie is a liar. I think she's lied a bunch. I think lies will keep coming out. But I think it's also really ridiculous, and it's ridiculous in sort of a strategy move from the other ladies, because if they study Housewives, and I know Tamra does, that you can't turn everybody against one person, because guess what that does? It makes the audience love that one person more. It makes them go, oh, I do not like people being bullied. And then it makes all those women look like bullies, even if they have a leg to stand on. You're so much better off if you still let that person film with you. I mean, make, keep your enemies close kind of vibe. Just be cordial. Maybe come off a little boring to her, but you don't refuse to film with her. That is ridiculous. It never works out for those characters. It just doesn't. So I don't believe Katie will be back next season, but I will say the audience sure does help. There might be a change of heart. Remember, Shannon was on the chopping block before last season. Before last season, Shannon was on the chopping block, and then Shannon showed up, did her job, was put through hell, and she came off very well. In fact, that they gave her the Love Hotel spot. And now Tamra wants her off next season. Oh my God, I'll go into that at some point. It just enrages me. And I know a lot of people dislike Tamra. I remember I get shit, and I'll probably get shit for this, as I don't want to call her a necessary evil, but I will say she's earned her spot in the sense that she's slippery, man. She knows the game. She studies the game. Her whole show is like my show, but it's, my show's goofier. But she's able to study all of it's like cheating. It's cheating at a test, being able to study all of the different iterations of Housewives and being able, I'm sorry. When Tamra plays dumb, it's like my favorite thing because she is so far from dumb. You might not, I don't think she's Good Will Hunting or anything like that. I don't think it's a beautiful mind, but I think she's smart and I think she's wily. And I think, listen, that is her show to lose until somebody can come along and actually actively get the wool off of everybody's eyes. And who knows, maybe that is Gretchen. But Tamra is so good at this that she can leave the show. She left the show, which she bitches about Shannon. She left the show. She admitted she was drunk and on Xanax. Shit that she makes fun of Shannon for all the time being drunk. She left and then came back and everything's fine. Everything's good. If Shannon had left the show and come back, Tamra would have given her hell, made her life a living hell. But Tamra's able to come back and just ease her way back in. Everything's good. Don't look over here. Look over here. And I'm sorry. You might hate that, but that is damn good gameplay. Because like I just said, it's not about relationships anymore. It's about gameplay. And I think Tamra's a really good game player in terms of Housewives. It's just that I don't want to watch a game. I want to watch real life with people that have real things going on. And that's why my affinity for Shannon is the way it is, because Shannon gets a lot of flack too. But Shannon is so unabashedly herself. Shannon can't break out of being Shannon. And I like that. I like that there's a little bit of a Charlie Brown quality to Shannon. And that there's somebody to root for. And man, I hope it works out for Shannon. I hope life works out for Shannon. But my God, when she goes into these things, you can tell she's actively hurt. This show has rocked her in so many ways that she's rattled. She has PTSD. She doesn't trust anybody, and she doesn't move in the same ways that Tamra moves. And Tamra will be the first to knock Shannon in other interviews. Even Jeff Lewis, Tamra was on Jeff Lewis this week and was knocking Shannon again. But at the same time, Jeff will be like, well, but I think there's a lot of love there. I think you guys can get back. And Tamara's like, yeah, I hope so. I think so. Really? You just badmouthed her. If I heard somebody badmouthing me that much in the press, why would I ever want to meet you halfway? And I know probably hurt people. And I know that's also a thing where Tamra's like, Tamra hits harder because she's afraid of somebody not liking her or something. So a lot of it is just bluster. We are talking about our friends over at Factor today. Now, if you've been listening to the pod, you know that I am on a health journey right now, which means I am trying to eat healthier. And that is really hard to go out shopping and to do all of that busy work. And, you have a busy schedule, you have summer plans, and sometimes all you got is a couple minutes. So Factor helps me eat smarter with tasty chef prepped meals that are dietitian approved and delivered right to my door. And now, with more than 65 weekly meals made for how I live and what I like to eat, I've got even more ways to fit in a real meal wherever the day takes me. So you get more variety, you get more meals. You can go to the website, you can choose from a wider selection of weekly meal options, including premium seafood choices like salmon and shrimp at no extra cost. They support all of your wellness goals. Enjoy even more GLP-1 friendly meals and now new Mediterranean diet options packed with protein and good for you fats. And savor global favors. For the first time, try Asian inspired meals with bold flavors influenced by China, Thailand, and more. From more choices to better nutrition, that's why 97% of customers say that Factor helped them live a healthier life. Feel the difference no matter your routine. So eat smart at factormeals.com/SoBad50 off and use code SoBad50 off to get 50% off your first box plus free breakfast for 1 year. Whoa, that's code SoBad50 off at factormeals.com for 50% off your first box plus free breakfast for 1 year. Get delicious, ready-to-eat meals delivered with Factor. Offer only valid for new Factor customers with code and qualifying auto-renewing subscription purchase. And just her, I'm going to hit harder even though I don't want to fight. But sometimes that's just old. Sometimes it's not necessary. And sometimes I wish she would get over herself in that sense. But yeah, if I was Shannon, how would I want to be friends with somebody that continually badmouths me, continually calls me an alcoholic, reminds me that I crashed a car into a house, like all of the bad things that it's hard for me in relationships, that you're good pals with Alexis Bellino and you're going to go to her wedding shower and all of this shit. And then you're like, no, I still want to be friends with Shannon. That would be a tall order. And I think the empathetic side of Tamra, if there is one, would realize that instead of continually, I don't know. So yeah, I guess there's a little bit to talk about. And that's all I got to say about that. Anyways, that's my opening salvo, you guys. We'll get into the first episode, the whole episode as a recap. Sorry, I feel like I'm on the moon right now. So this should be a very wacky, weird episode. So I hope you enjoy it. We'll take a quick commercial break and then let's talk about the Real Housewives of Potomac trailer, okay? Okay, let's get into Real Housewives of Potomac. There's a timestamp if you want to skip right to the OC recap, but let's go over this. Can you believe it's going to be season 10 of Real Housewives of Potomac? Where has the time gone? My Lord, season 10. This is huge. And this is going to be premiering on October 5th. So I know we're in a Bravo drought right now, but rain is coming, folks. Rain is coming because we have Salt Lake City premiering on September 16th. We have Below Deck Med, which we had a trailer for this week. That's premiering soon as well. And then we have Real Housewives of Potomac October 5th. So I hate when people say this, but I'm going to say it. We are getting fed. We are going to be getting fed, folks. And then they announced November 17th, right when BravoCon's happening, they're having the third season finally of The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, which your boy Ryan Bailey, you might see him pop up on the third season of The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. I'm not joking. So that's a Hulu show, though. We're talking about Bravo shows today. So yeah, season 10 premieres October 5th, and it says, while Giselle Bryan and Ashley Darby embrace the single life, Kierna Stewart and Stacey Rush, remember Stacey? And still I rise, and yet I rise. Examine the relationships they already have. Also, Dr. Wendy Asefo is back with big changes in both her personal and professional lives. And newcomers Tia Glover and Angela Massey look to leave a lasting impression on the group and is Real Housewives of Potomac alum Monique Samuels making a shocking return. Why does this description give a question mark? Yeah, she's in the trailer. She is making a return. So yeah, that's the description that Bravo gives us, and the season 10 Potomac trailer. It's so ridiculous, you guys. I was just talking about things being staged, and this is how this trailer starts. Is that we're in Giselle's, which is, it looks like Erica Jane's designer Martin. I'm going to do something for you, Giselle. That's going to look amazing. We're going to put a zebra carpet and then a hideous gray couch with a coffee table that looks like it's just a big piece of silver poop. Giselle's never had the best fashion sense, even though she is legitimately one of the most beautiful women ever. But she's sitting here on a couch and she's writing a letter. And I'm like, who's she writing a letter to? Is she writing a letter to one of her daughters off at college? And it starts off, Dear Karen, Dear Kern. She's writing to Karen Huger in prison. I know that I shouldn't be laughing, but it starts off with, Dear Karen. Dear Karen. And I'm like, no. Now we know Karen Huger gets released from prison on Tuesday. And I just said this week that, maybe she'll be able to film the last half of Potomac. So obviously the season is pretty much done, but I do believe they will pick back up cameras to capture that last moment. And now I believe that's how they will end season 10, with Karen reappearing. So then the trailer continues, not a day goes by that I don't think about you and all the hell you put me through over the last 8-9 seasons. But he says, I think about you every day. And then all of a sudden it cuts to bars, like literally like prison bars, and you're seeing the sky. I know I shouldn't be laughing, but it's ridiculous. And you see, but it's not at Karen's prison, but they just put bars with the sky, and that's supposed to represent Karen's view in prison, I'm guessing. This trailer's very deep. And Giselle keeps writing. In a lot of ways, life has been moving on, she says. And we see, like, I think it's Dr. Wendy screaming, onward! And then we see Ashley Darby coming down the stairs, and she says in a voiceover, I stand before you after many arduous years, after my divorce. And then we see Stacy from last season. And remember Stacy... Remember the dude she was dating? What was his name? TJ? I think it's TJ, right? And we see Stacy at dinner with somebody, and I'm like, oh my God, tell me TJ is not back. Do not tell me TJ is back. And we hear Stacy go, I'm committed to our family. And then we look across and we see it's her husband that she said she was getting a divorce from, who wasn't in last season with Stacy. I just also love the people that don't watch Real Housewives of Potomac potentially listening or watching this going, this dude's like way too excited. Like, I don't know what's happening, but he seems really happy. Anyways, Giselle then is on the phone with somebody going, wait a sec, she's not getting a divorce? Talking about Stacy. And then Dr. Wendy going, oh my God, I can't believe she's back with her man. My God. And then we see a big toast. We always see toasts in these trailers of like, let's toast. And it says, to new friends. And it says, welcome, Angel. And we meet Angel, one of the new cast members, right? Angel Massey. And she's kissing a dude in her kitchen. And the voiceover says, we've known each other since we were 18, since we were young and hot. And so it looks like there's a sexy new couple in Potomac. And then Giselle says, I've got a friend. And we see her walking up the steps with somebody. And I guess it's Giselle's friend, Tia. Her name's Tia Glover, and she's British. And she's telling Giselle, I was knackered. I was knackered. And Giselle says, naked? And Tia's like, knackered. And Giselle's like, what does that mean? And then we see one of the girls saying to one of the ladies, if you sent him a coochie pic, would he recognize it? Put that on my tombstone, you guys. If you sent him a coochie pic, would he recognize it? And then Tia goes, I don't even know what language they're speaking. And then we go back to Giselle writing the letter to Karen, and the voiceover as she's writing says, and some things haven't changed at all. My God, this trailer should have ended with Karen going, anyways, I'm putting $50 on your books so you can enjoy some ramen and Cheez-Its. Like, that's how this should have ended. Then we see in the trailer like a horse race, and all the ladies screaming, and Wendy says like, I want $5. And then we see Ashley Darby, you know, she likes to dress up like a dude. She does she looks great as a dude. She looks like a skater. She has like a goatee, and she's wearing like a rainbow hat and a graffiti tank top. And Ashley screaming at somebody going, you are weird. And she looks like a complete weirdo. And then we see all of the ladies playing on like Caribbean steel drums, and Giselle's like really getting into it. Giselle then says to the ladies, I am Captain Save the Hose. And then we see all the ladies out on the boat, and one of the ladies says, oh, this is very White Lotus. And they look like they are vacationing on some sort of island. So it really is like White Lotus. And then we see a stripper dancing, and Dr. Wendy goes, oh, I see puss. I see puss. Karen's in prison missing puss. Are you kidding me? And then Giselle in a kitchen scene saying, hand this to Stacy when she gets here. And somebody goes, what is it? And Giselle goes, mince. Sometimes your breath can be a little hot on the hot side. Ashley Darby says. And Stacy goes, wow. So I guess Stacy has bad BO breath, you guys. And then Stacy in a scene with Dr. Wendy, and Stacy says, in New York, I lied. In New York, I lied. Stacy, I think, did a lot of lying last season, and they really tried to comfort her at the reunion, and Stacy still rose. She held strong. And then Giselle in a scene with Stacy going, you lied for a year, Stacy. And then Giselle says to Ashley, saying Stacy's trying to start a cannabis line to be in competition with Happy Eddie. Because remember, Dr. Wendy's husband, Eddie Asefo, he started a marijuana line. Like, that's the new thing, man. Start a marijuana. You know what? I don't really smoke marijuana, but I wonder if we could do so bad it's good marijuana. I'm trying to look. It's either that or Bitcoin. It's so bad it's good NFT. What should I start, you guys? Would you guys? Hey guys. Hey, it's Friday. Would you guys buy weed from me? drop a line in the comments. Would you buy weed from this face? Would that be cool? Can I sell you an NFT? I will say this. I don't pat myself on the back that often. But I don't think I've done a lot of money grabs, have I? I mean, I ask you to join the Patreon and stuff, but I don't even push it that hard. Like, I don't do any money grabs. I haven't started like a hair care line or any kind of face wash, or I don't even use face wash. I don't feel good, you guys. It's going to be a silly recap. Anyways, I guess Stacy's starting a weed line. Smoke weed every day. And then Stacy in a conversation with Giselle, and Stacy going, are we still talking about your situation, Giselle? And Stacy saying, everyone knows that you have a boyfriend. And Ashley goes, right up her alley. So they're saying that Giselle has a boyfriend on the down low. Not on the down low being like gay, but like just on, she's not telling the other girls. And then Ashley's like, is he bald? And then Stacy and Wendy at the same time goes, is he chocolate? Is he a dude from Love Hotel? And then as soon as that happens, the next scene, get ready. This is going to knock you off your coal mining asses, you guys. We see a cowboy hat from the back. And guess what? It's Mauricio. And we see Mauricio in a flippin' cowboy hat. He's like, hey, Giselle. It's Mauricio McBee Dynasty. Hey, what's going on? It's me, Mauricio Omansky. I'm in Potomac. I'm opening up he's opening up some like outlet satellite store for the agency or something. But like they just talked about Giselle's boyfriend, and all of a sudden then they went to a clip with Mauricio. There's no way that this is truly who she's dating, but that's what they want us to believe. And fine, I'll believe it. It makes me happy. And we see Giselle and Mauricio hug. And then we go to another scene, I think with the newbies, and somebody saying, personally, I don't feel like your relationship is good for you. And then another lady saying, okay, listen, I know you're going through a lot with Greg, but And then Dr. Wendy having a scene with Ashley, and Dr. Wendy says, I have now realized that he doesn't love me. And Ashley goes, oh, Wendy, I'm sorry. Please say Dr. Wendy doesn't mean this about Eddie. There's no way. Eddie loves her. Don't say this. No, there's no way. This has got to be a misdirect. And then Dr. Wendy in another scene wearing a big hat saying there's a constant desire to have an issue with me. And Ashley then in another scene screaming, get out of here with your size 11 shoes, Stacey. Gallop away. And then she's doing a gallop motion. And then we go to another scene where Giselle says, you want to talk about what she told me? You want to talk, you're going to get clocked. And then the British girl goes, don't let this accent fool you. And then another one of the new girls goes, I'm that motherfucker. I'm that motherfucker. And all the other ladies are like, yeah, yeah. And then Dr. Wendy and the one of the girls is going, you don't like her. No, you don't like her. No, you don't like her. And then the British lady talking about Stacey going, the character is flawed and I don't trust you around my husband. And Stacey goes, you don't have one. And then Ashley in another scene, you guys, says Stacey's been trying to get with Chris Samuels. Zoinks! Chris Samuels is Monique Samuels' ex-husband, the big football player. And if you don't know who Monique Samuels is, then get out of here, man. Then you don't watch Potomac. Monique Samuels had her final season over the pandemic when she had pretty much a war with Candace Dillard Bassett. And she came to the reunion with the binder, remember? Well, Monique and Chris did not make it. And now they're saying Stacey, on her second season of Potomac, has been trying to get with Chris Samuels. And Wendy turns to Stacey and goes, you were trying to date Chris Samuels? And then all of a sudden we see a hoop earring. And we hear a voiceover that's obviously Monique says, oh yeah, my ex-husband. Like, no, we're not doing that. And then we get to a scene with Dr. Wendy and Monique. And Dr. Wendy says, the last time I saw you, you had a binder. And Monique goes, girl. And then, you guys, we see T'Challa. T'Challa, her parakeet. Remember T'Challa on the season of Potomac? And then she lost T'Challa? Like, I remember that day like it was yesterday. I shit you not. And it was like all over social media. And I was like, no, we don't need another dog. Like, remember Schwartz and Katie's lizard dog? That they like survived less than a year. Like Schwartz did not know how to take care of an animal. No offense, Schwartz. And they had a funeral for a dog on Vanderpump Rules. And that's why I always say that was the season that Vanderpump jumped the shark, but I always say jumped the dog. But T'Challa was Monique's bird. And T'Challa, she found T'Challa, and T'Challa is now back in the season. And Monique says, you going to say hello? And T'Challa's like, and then we go back to Giselle still writing to Karen, and Giselle writing, I need some help with these hoes. Love you, Giselle. Love you, Giselle. XOXO, Gossip Girl. Listen, it is so fake, the framing of writing that letter to Karen, but my God, did I love her. And then it ends with the voiceover that we're so used to. Catch the new season of The Real Housewives of Potomac, October 5th on Bravo. Okay, isn't that exciting? Are you guys excited? I hope you are, because I'm excited. I can't wait to cover that show. Okay, moving on. This is, file this under How to Be Petty in the best way, is Real Housewives of Salt Lake City star Angie Katsanavas. Hey, I'm Greek. She did something great. I mean, it's this cracks me up, is that she posted something today where she is a partner for a new tequila called Código 1530 or CODIGO 1530 tequila. And she did a Instagram post, and it says, for tequila as smooth as my shade, I take Código everywhere I go. And so she is like a brand representative for this tequila. And guess who else has a tequila, you guys? That's right. Lisa Barlow, Tin Roof Rusted. Oh my God, Vida Tequila. So this is Angie coming at Lisa Barlow's livelihood in a sense. And Lisa Barlow seemingly responded to Angie Katsanavas. And she Lisa Barlow posted this after, and Lisa Barlow's in a cowboy hat she probably got from Kimosabe, trying to be part of the McBee dynasty. I'm part of the McBee dynasty. Lisa Barlow wrote, "You can't compete where you don't compare. Hashtag owner. Hashtag queen of shiny hair and Vita." I love tequila wars. It reminds me, remember Dr. Wendy and Karen Huger's 3-wick candle battle back on Potomac back in the day? It was like, that's a 2-wick. Dr. Wendy knows I have a 3-wick candle. Are you kidding me? So I love that Angie and Lisa are going to be coming after each other, not only on the show, but out there for your hard-earned dollars for tequila. Okay, let's move on finally to Real Housewives of Orange County. This is season 19. Season 19, episode 8. It's only 8? This feels like it's like 20 episodes in, man. It is called Truth Tellers and Lie Detectors. Ooh, I see what you did there, because it's about the truth and then there's a lie detector at the end. Did you notice the guy at the end, the lie detector guy? We've seen that lie detector guy on so many reality shows. That's the same one that hooked Lisa Vanderpump up to a lie detector on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Is there only like 4 people in the lie detector industry? I feel like I always see the same ones pop up, to the point where I'm like, what is this? Is this a legitimate profession? No offense if you're like a lie detector specialist. And if you are, come on the show. I'd love to talk to you. And also, are you like me with the lie detectors? I just feel every time I see them, I already get nervous. I already my heart starts, like I would fucking fail a lie detector so bad. In fact, I want to test it out just to like see. Like, it makes no sense to me. Anyways, the cable company gives us this description. Emily throws a Persian New Year party for the women, but has a surprise activity to uncover the truth behind the rumors swirling in the group. She makes them play Twister. No, it's the lie detector. Heather's family's future is up in the air as she waits for offers on her Los Angeles mansion. Yeah. Heather, she doesn't know where she's going to move. But don't worry, guys. She's totally rich, so it's all fine. There's no drama there. So let's get into this episode. Now, we're only 8 episodes in, but I will say, with the Katie and the lying and the reaching out to Kiki Monique, remember, this is not the only person that in this storyline Katie has reached out to. She has also reached out to another creator slash blogger slash whatever we call ourselves these days. Earlier in the season, they didn't reveal that person's name. They blacked it out, but it's the Bravo babe. I talked about her on Jeff Lewis briefly today, and she wrote this, and I kind of disagree with her sentiment. She seems like a really nice person, so this isn't personal at all, but she wrote, "Hot take. Bloggers showing up this season feels like a natural progression. The Bravo world has expanded far beyond just TV. Digital voices and fan communities as a whole now hold real influence in shaping the narrative. I'm here for it." I respect her opinion. Just my opinion, I am not here for it. I'm not here for it at all. I feel in no way should fan communities, like, listen, we see, and we talked about this on Love Island USA with the reunion and the show itself when Dana Omari was on Thursday's episode, is that they really were taking fan response. You know, they were taking all of the fan response and they were reacting about it. They were crafting things in Love Island based on fan reaction. And I think sometimes that was for the better, and a lot of times it was for the worse. And I feel like in the Bravo world, you know, there's always going to be the Bravo fucking Bravo moments where it's meta. And that's like the cast stopping a scene or trying to shape narrative themselves. But even in this, the writing of this, digital voices and fan communities as a whole now hold real influence in shaping the narrative. I don't think fan narratives should be a part of this, because once again, it goes against the original thesis of the show, is that a friendship, a group of women that have a friendship, that have some sort of bond. Yes, we have expanded or progressed, or the evolution of Housewives has, I'm not going to say gotten off track, but it definitely is something different. But I don't go to watch these shows every night to see people like me. It gives me something to talk about. It's something that I love. And the more I see me on screen, the less and it's not like out of some self-hatred. I'm not bagging on any of these creators. My God. I mean, it's really exciting, but there's nothing that interests me in talking about what I do or talking about my opinion. I want to share that with you guys, and I want you guys to share that with me, but I don't want to see that on screen. And that's why it's not Kiki's fault that she showed up or that she was asked to be on. She didn't ask to be on. They asked her to be on. That was not her wanting to get on the show. That was them getting her on the show. But I think it also just shows like that the narrative itself has lost its way because we've gotten so far away from natural relationships. And so, yeah, I don't want every week to show up and be like, well, watch what Crappen said this, or So Bad It's Good said that, or Kate Casey said this, or Sexy Unique Podcast said that. Like, I want to be able to, this is our little secret corner. This is our little secret, little part of the world where we talk about this thing that we like. And I want to see what they have to show us. I don't want to shape their narrative. I don't want, I don't want all Reddit. I don't want to watch a Reddit thread, and it's like, I don't want to then and it's really, it's like old man shaking his fist at the sky because it's probably already too far gone to change course. But yeah, I don't want us to be the ones to uncover all of their financial improprieties. I don't want us having to dig into every aspect of their past. And nor do I want all of these ladies to have to dig into each other's past. I would rather see what goes on with them in their actual relationships. But like I said earlier, it's more of a game of Survivor now. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's just too far gone. But yeah, the Bravo world has expanded. And I think it still has expanded without using fan communities as storylines. I just think that has gone so far off the beaten track. And I don't think it is necessarily exciting to talk about what fan communities speak about. I think it's exciting for us to talk and listen to it in our own communities, but then to put that on the show, I don't know. I think to me, that is just not nearly as exciting, but I really want to know what you guys think about that. Are you guys all for it? Do you guys want to see more creators pop up and, potentially give information about what they heard? Listen, and it's not these creators' faults because these housewives and these Bravo celebrities or reality stars, they shouldn't be interacting with us in this way. I want to interview somebody. Hell yeah. I want to have somebody on and I want to be able to interview them. And it would be great to not have restrictions that sometimes Bravo puts on those interviews. But I don't want to, I've been friends with some of these people and sometimes it's good and sometimes it's bad. But usually it leads you to not be able to tell some sort of personal truth about what you're seeing with your own eyes. And also it's unfair because then you get to know them in a different way and different things that the audience doesn't know. And so you're like, oh, but trust me, they're not that bad or they're not this. And we should try to be commenting on what we see on the show. But yeah, it's a 360 viewing experience that you have to not only watch the show, but you have to read 8 Reddit threads, listen to 3 podcasts, just do some deep diving on Facebook, Twitter, Threads, everything. And I think for the casual viewer, that's a hard thing to come up with. And I think it also then maybe makes production a little more lazy, saying, well, most of our work, we can just go on Instagram and figure out what the storylines are going to be. I want them to be able to be creative about what they're seeing in the relationships and be able to craft the story that way. Does that make sense? Am I going crazy? Maybe I feel like, yeah, maybe I'm just fully old man here. I could be wrong. Let me know. Okay, we start with clips from previous episodes. We have Emily Simpson talking to her husband, Shane, about her son being possibly autistic. Now, Jeff was very upset about this storyline and really didn't agree with Emily using her kid as storyline. And I understand that, but at the same time, it's that slippery slope where this is potentially really going on in Emily's life. But I think what the upsetting part maybe to Jeff was that she's not sure, that he hasn't gone through all the tests, and that Shane does not believe potentially that their son is autistic. So why actually make this a storyline? I do believe it's something that completely upsets Emily, but maybe wait to get all the information in. But I understand why it would be a storyline. But she says she feels alone in that because Shane is not fully in agreement with Emily. And then we have a clip from when they were in the New Orleans, and it's Shannon, Tamra, and Gretchen because they were afraid to do the voodoo dolls. And Shannon is telling Gretchen, Katie had a meeting with a woman. And Tamra goes, Kiki Monique. Because if we say Kiki Monique, we get a bonus. I swear to God, it's like Beetlejuice. Say Kiki Monique 3 times and she will appear. Kiki Monique, Kiki Monique, Kiki Monique. Showtime. I told Kiki that today. I'm like, do they tell these people they can't just say your first name? It's got to be Kiki Monique. It is a fun name. It is a fun name to say both word. Like Ryan Bailey's not nearly as fun to say, but Kiki Monique is kind of fun to say. I just don't want it to become where it's like, me personally, I find such humor in the little intricacies of these shows. Like we were just talking about Dog the Lizard on Vanderpump Rules. Like I still remember that even though it was like one episode storyline, but it always sticks out to me. You don't like Kiki has like an actual job talking about these shows. She has the Reality Check radio show with Dorinda. She's built up this, audience and she works really hard. And you don't want it to become a punchline. You don't want 5 years from now going, it's another one of those Kiki Monique storylines, Like I don't want it to turn into a punchline. But all these women just keep saying it's so damn much. And then Tamra reveals to Gretchen, Katie said that you told her that I roofied you. And Shannon's like, zoinks! Because remember, Shannon already hates Katie because Katie illegally recorded her and then shared it with Alexis Bellino, even though Katie lies and said she didn't share it with Alexis Bellino. But Alexis Bellino has come out and said, yes, she definitely heard that voice memo. So everybody's a liar except for Katie Ginella in Katie Ginella's head. But everybody else says Katie Ginella's a liar. And they're all telling the truth. But Gretchen in the scene goes, I did not say that you roofied me. And then we have a scene with Katie and Gretchen and Katie saying, I'm not just going to lie. I didn't do it. And then that scene where Tamra was like freaking out on Xanax and liquor saying, Gretchen, are you saying I just pulled this out of my ass? And Gretchen saying, you told me this. And before she finishes, Tamra's like, okay. Oh my God, Gretchen fucking believes Katie. And that's when Tamra walked down the steps. I'm out. And then at the dinner, Katie says, Gretchen, you told us the whole story. She said she was really sick. No, Jenn Pedranti says she said she was really sick. And was that conveyed to be, Gretchen says, something more? It feels like bad improv. Something more, Gretchen says? And then in another scene from last week's episode, Jen says, what the fuck is going on with Katie to Emily? And Gretchen says, I will be devastated if I find out that she's making up stories like this. And then the last scene from last week's episode where Katie and her husband, Matt, Katie's talking to Matt saying, did you hear Slade talking about any of this naked wasted stuff? And Matt saying, yeah. And Katie says, great. So Gretchen, speak up. In a talking head, Katie says, I'm exhausted mentally with trying to cover up for Gretchen and Slade. And quite frankly, Jen. And then Matt saying, say to them, shut the fuck up. You're the liars. You're the liars, Matt says. I don't know, man. So what does Katie get by like pulling this many lies and this many moves? Did she just get lost in the sauce? Was she trying to compete? Was she trying to make friends? Why didn't she reach out to me more to craft storyline? I mean, it's just jealousy at this point for me. No, I mean, what's in it for Katie, right? Now, Gretchen Rossi was on Heather McDonald's Juicy Scoop podcast, and I guess a lot of information was revealed, but I don't believe Gretchen to be a reliable narrator. That's the thing. I don't think anybody's a reliable narrator on this cast, so I don't know really who to believe because I can point to a lie that each one of these ladies has said. But I will say, like I said earlier, I went back and watched Naked Wasted episode, and I do not believe Tamra roofied Gretchen, but I do believe they got Gretchen stupid drunk. I mean, truly drunk. And then the Ryan, Tamra's son element of that was the real creepy thing. Like he was just like just on top of her, just like, hey, like, oh, come on, give me a kiss. It was so creepy. So I believe she woke up that next day going like, what the fuck happened? Because it was like tequila shot after tequila shot. And Tamra was kind of laughing at her. I mean, it wasn't what you do for a friend. It was it was wanting somebody to fail, wanting somebody to look stupid. But the son aspect of it was the creepiest aspect of it. And you saw the other ladies like Jeana Keough and Lynn Curtin. They were just like, are you okay? Are you okay? And then Gretchen spent the night at Tamra's house, but we don't know what happened after the lights went out. And hopefully she just passed out. But I don't know if she went to the hospital, but Gretchen is on camera saying to Tamra that she did go to the hospital. And then Tamra was on Jeff Lewis this week saying not only did she say it in that scene, but she said it in a scene before that we didn't get to see. So she told her 2 times that she did go to the hospital. Not that she was roofied by Tamra, but that she was so sick that she did go to the hospital. Now, Gretchen's saying that that is not true. She was misspeaking. So I don't know, you guys. And at the end of the day, what do you win? Like, best housewife on Orange County? Who cares? Can somebody just fucking, like, just... God, if you're listening, it's me, Ryan. Tell my mom I said hi if she's up there drinking wine. But if you're there, I know there's a lot of better things that you could do with your time. Could you just fill me with the knowledge of who is telling the truth here? Could you fill us all with the knowledge? Could you let us know? Could you penalize the people that are lying and just clarify? That's what I want. I want Alex Baskin or Andy Cohen just to, at the end of the season going, well, in summation, this is what actually happened. And we're not going to get that. Okay, so we start this week's episode. It's upbeat music. We see palm trees. We hear some fun music. And we're all of a sudden in Beverly Hills. Real Housewives of Orange County in Beverly Hills. We're at Heather's LA penthouse. And Dr. Terry Dubrow is on his iPad and his phone. And Terry's talking to Heather. And he's like, at what point will we not need humans anymore? We just have Chat GPT. And then Heather's like, are you gonna, can I tell you something? Are you gonna have sex with a robot? And Terry's like, I already am. You. No. Terry just goes, cheers. And Heather goes, you are a bad boy. You are such a douchebag. You are such a douchebag, Terry. And then Terry snorts, Chat GPT. Okay, then we cut to Jenn Pedranti's house, and she's talking to her sons, Dawson and Grayson, and asks them how dating life is. And Jenn Pedranti, you need to make your sons watch that Naked Wasted episode and go, and you will never be like Ryan, Tamra's son, Ryan. If we ever have a party, you will never... God, that would be scary if they do another Naked Wasted 2 party, but this time it's Dawson and Grayson, Jenn Pedranti's sons, getting Gretchen naked wasted, maybe getting Slade naked wasted too. And then shave off that hideous mustache that he's wearing. Hey, it's me. It's Slade. Howdy, neighbor. Anyways, they're talking about dating advice. Jen's asking the one son, do you have advice that you would give your brother for dating? And the guy's like, that kid's going to be the next 40-year-old virgin. And Jen's like, that's not even nice. That's not nice, Dawson. So we cut out of that. We're doing the normal round robin. And then we go over to Gretchen's house. And I didn't realize until I watched season 4 that Gretchen, I believe, lives in the same damn house that she lived in when she was with Jeff, the older man who died of leukemia, right? And so we hear Gretchen's voice going, Sky Girl, do you want to come help us take the chandelier down? Because, of course, you would have a chandelier in your tiny bathroom. Skylar, Gretchen's daughter, at the age of 5. I feel like I've known Skylar for most of my life. I can't believe she's only 5. But Slade's being a real man, and he's taking down the chandelier over the bathtub. I don't know. Slade has a tool belt on, so, real man stuff. And he's unscrewing it, and like, don't get electrocuted. And then Slade goes, he's doing an electrocution joke in front of his 5-year-old daughter because that's fun. And then he re-breaks his penis that Gretchen broke. I just want to remind people, that's how Gretchen... I will say I've loved Gretchen's scenes. Like, admitting that she broke Slade's penis. Like, my God. But anyway, Skylar loves the electrocution joke. She's like, ha, 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 ha. We see some surfers on the beach, you guys. We see a little pic collage of people holding hands on the beach. And all of a sudden, we're at Javier's, the Mexican restaurant. And we see Gene the Machine, Shannon's dad. He's celebrating his 97th birthday. And Shannon is taking her dear old dad for a birthday meal. It's like, this is nice. This is nice. Are you going to have a margarita? And he goes, I might have one. I might have one, Shannon. The machine might have one. And Shannon's like, do you like guacamole, Dad? Yeah, that might be good. Can I have a skinny margarita? And Gene just keeps going, that sounds good. That sounds good. It's his 96th birthday today. And Gene's like, I'm not driving today. Nor should you, sir. Nobody potentially in the Beador family should be driving. So Shannon's like, so Dad, I have to tell you, this young, very attractive girl came up to me and said, this man came up to me and he said, please don't go. I'll take care of you. And his name was Gene the Machine. That was you. And Jean goes, in the talking head, Shannon goes, when he goes out, he'll still walk up to the young ladies. And it's like, oh my God, it's a lot. It's a lot. And then Jean in the scene goes, it was probably just a joke. You know that. It was probably, it would be great if she was like, she's a fucking liar, Shannon. She doesn't know what she's fighting. Fucking, I didn't say anything to fucking, she's a liar, Shannon. But he's loving it. He loves it. He loves it. And I will tell you, when we went and saw our buddy Doug host the Vicki and Shannon live show in December of last year, we sat right across from Jean the Machine, and Jean the Machine hit on Rebecca, like hard. I mean, like, it was great. And like, yeah, there was a chance she was going to leave me for many reasons, but mainly for Jean the Machine. And Rebecca loved it. Like, the guy is charming as hell. And I told Shannon this when we went to Vegas a couple months ago, and she's like, oh my God, oh, Dad. And she told me that this happens a lot with Jean the Machine, that he does like to flirt with the ladies. But Shannon goes, it's what keeps him young. He's always laughing, and all the power to him. What if we had a Love Hotel with Jean the Machine? We bring Shannon back on for a second season of Love Hotel, but one of the men is Jean the Machine. Could Jean the Machine winds up with Ashley Darby or Countess Luann? Wouldn't that be great? Oh my goodness. So they cheers to another year. Cheers to 97. And he goes, and Shannon's like, when's the last time you've been on a date, Dad? Oh, it's been a while. And Shannon's like, for me, Dad, I don't want to date anyone right now. And then Jean's like, but I see you with gentlemen. They're not dates or what? I love Jean's like, I've seen you slutting it up around town all the time. Anyways, we see pictures of Phil and Adam, guys she met from Love Hotel. And Shannon's like, they're not dates, Dad. I have a lot of friends that are men, and we do things as friends, above the neck. But Shannon says she's happy by herself. And Shannon says, maybe if I met the right person. And Jean goes, I run into people all the time. Yeah, you do, Jean the Machine. Big Dick Daddy from Cincinnati, as Kelly Dodd says. But Jean goes, I might find you somebody if I run into somebody. Shannon says, I wish I could approach dating the way that my father does. And we see clips in 2020 of Jean the Machine hitting on Kelly Dodd, where he's like, I love your dress, Kelly. I love your dress. What are you doing tonight, Kelly? I'd love to get you naked wasted. But Shannon goes, I'm old-fashioned. I don't want to be the pursuer. And I'm afraid having my heart hurt. So I'm like proceeding with caution. Slowly. So they order the food, and this Jean the Machine order. I'm going to order a couple tacos. God, imagine at 96, 97 years old being able to I can't even process tacos now about right. Like, God, this man's still I bet he's eating guacamole and salsa. Good for Jean, dude. Shannon goes, I don't know, Dad, if I told you this, but when I was in New Orleans, Tamra was not kind to me, Dad. Last year, she apologized to me, which I appreciate. But I said, I can't jump back into a friendship like that. And she kicked me when I was down, Dad. And Jean's like, it's hard to do. It's hard to do. She says, I'm more protective of my heart today based on past relationships. And then we cut back to David Beador when we see a split screen of David being intense and Shannon crying. Shannon looks so much better now. Shannon was always great, but Shannon's a beautiful older lady, right? But she looks so different in this flashback. And we see David, and David's like, I'm fucking done wasting my life. I want to be fucking happy. And then John Janssen going, Shannon has an interesting relationship with the truth. I have been working so hard in therapy to recognize unhealthy relationships in my life. And Tamra was one of them. And if I throw myself back to the wolves, I only have myself to blame if I get hurt again. Okay, so let's speak about that for a moment, you guys. She's dead on right. I want to remind people of when Tamra came back a couple of seasons ago after she was put on pause. And remember, that was another one. Tamra had to go, because Shannon was another. Like Shannon was like, Tamra hurt me. I can't go back there. I can't go back there. And Tamra kind of worked her magic back into being friends with Shannon. But if you go back and watch a couple seasons ago, it was the same thing where Shannon was like, Tamra's hurt me so much. I can't do that again. It really hurt my feelings. And Tamra got back in there. And Tamra has the same pattern with Shannon, but she has some sort of magic that she's able to like make people forget this stuff. It's like repeating the same pattern again and again. And so Shannon gets hurt because Shannon personalizes everything because she doesn't think this is a game. She thinks this is her actual life, and she does get hurt. So I'm like, yeah. And also I love that she says in therapy. And I want to also point out therapy is not part of Shannon's storyline. It's part of Tamra's. Like, so I'm great. I'm like almost proud of Shannon for not using that as a storyline. It's like, yeah, make that your own personal safe space where you can work on yourself. Anyways, we cut to a Marilyn Monroe. Somebody dressed up as Marilyn Monroe with the white skirt. And it's like, hello, Gene the Machine. I heard that there's a birthday boy. Gene's like, yeah, baby, yeah, get all up in my lap. All right, let me rub guacamole all over you. She puts a Gene the Machine hat on him. I mean, I think it's great that the Marilyn Monroe impressionist is here, but wouldn't it be so much better with Countess Luann of like, hello, Gene, money can't buy you glass. Elegance is learned, Gene the Machine. Elegance is learned. But Gene is loving this. You know Gene tears up a strip club. Okay, we cut to a scene with Gretchen and Jeana, and they're at a restaurant. They're about to meet with Kiki Monique. And Gina's like, I'm happy that you reach out because I am happy. I'm happy, Gretchen, to be here for you because I know this is kind of a lot. Is it kind of a lot to meet with Kiki Monique? I know how hard this is for you, Gretchen. Yeah. Gretchen has like a full shackle of makeup on, just fully sandblasted face. And Gina's like, and I want to get to the bottom of it, honestly. I'm Inspector Gina. Dun-ta-dun-ta-dun. Inspector Gina. Dun-ta-dun-ta-dun. Travis has big balls. And Gretchen goes, where I'm actually the most upset is why are you taking any conversation and talking to a reporter? In a talking head, Gretchen says, I am just feeling beyond betrayed. I thought that I was in a safe space with people that I trusted and loved. But like sharing something very personal and private with a journalist is not okay in any way, shape, or form. Now, I was talking to Kiki about this today because Jeff was like, what are you, a blogger, a journalist? The journalist thing, it's I think Kiki is more of, she does report things. I don't know. It's such a hazy title for me because also, this tangled web of how this got passed down is that we know the two journalists now that Kiki had told that actually it's like the tangled web is that Kiki had told Dave Quinn, who writes for People and wrote the excellent book, Not All Diamonds and Rosé, which is, it's like an account of all of the Housewives shows. It's an excellent book. I highly recommend it. Just a great retelling with all of the cast members throughout all of the seasons, all of the iterations of the Housewives. He writes for People now, and I like Dave. Jeff I didn't realize Jeff Lewis has a huge issue with Dave. I didn't know that. I was like, whoa, Jeff came out swinging at Dave. I like Dave. Dave's been on this show before a lot. I thought that book was great. And then the other journalist is Jax Peterson, who writes for Daily Mail, and Jax has been on this show a handful of times. Now, I had a feeling it was Jax last week, and I texted with Jax, and he did admit that he was one of them. And I knew that Dave was the other. I mean, it was not hard to piece that together. But what is interesting and what they don't talk about on the show, and this is like a whole nother storyline that we will never get because it doesn't involve these ladies, is that Kiki told these two guys that are her friends and colleagues in a sense, and then they went and told Tamra. Dave is the one that went and told Tamra, and then Jax, I believe, wrote an article about Katie. Now, Jax, in his text message to me, was just like, hey man, Katie's a liar. And I think Jax will probably come on the show maybe at some point, but he's like, yeah, Katie is a full-blown liar. don't trust her. And I was like, well, I don't have any communication with Katie at this point. But those are the two reporters. So I did find it interesting. Isn't there some sort of journalistic ethics that, like, even if Kiki told them that they're not supposed to go out or Dave's not supposed to go tell Tamra, it's like, you're a journalist. You're not a housewife. Like, keep that shit private. Because that wound up then Kiki's name getting out there. And that's how Kiki wound up on the show. So that's a story that you won't really be getting from this. Anyways, Gretchen says, my hope is that Katie will be exonerated in this. Oh, is that your hope, Gretchen? I don't see. Let's hook her up to a lie detector there. I don't believe that either. And Gina's like, yeah. And then there's uncertain. It says, the closed captioning says uncertain music. And then all of a sudden, Kiki Monique pops out. And everybody's like, Gina and Gretchen's like, hi, Kiki Monique. And Gretchen's like, hi, I'm Gretchen. And Kiki's like, yeah, no, we've met. And Gretchen's like, when did we meet? And Kiki's like, well, just on the show on Shenanigans, because Kiki a lot of the times co-hosts Shenanigans with Sheena. And we have the podcast image of Shenanigans up. All roads lead back to Sheena. Man, Sheena must have had the biggest boner when she saw that image pop up, because for years she tried to promote her podcast on Vanderpump Rules to very minimal results. They did not want to. And look how far Sheena has come. They actually have used the show's image. So Sheena must have been thrilled. But Gretchen's like, I didn't know that was you, Kiki. Isn't that crazy? And then Gina comes over like, hi, I'm Gina. Hi, I know you. We really appreciate you being here. I like that Gina treats Kiki like she's a sick child. Hi, I'm from the Make-A-Wish Foundation. My name is Gina Kirschenheiter. I hear you're a big Orange County fan, Kiki Monique. Gretchen in a talking head says, I decided to call Kiki because the best way for me to move forward with Katie and with the group and to figure everything out is to know the truth. Do you think that is the best way? Because I was thinking about the other best way. I was like, they should have brought Kiki in at the end with the lie detector test. Like, okay, sure, it's great for Kiki to reveal this to Gretchen and blah, 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 but I would rather see a scene with Kiki and Katie Janela. Like, I want to see that scene. That's what I'm like. Just make Kiki full-time at this point. Kiki Monique full-time at this point. Anyways, I teased Kiki about this today off mic, but I love that they took Kiki's drink order, and Kiki's like, do you have like a Sancerre or any dry white? She dropped a little wine knowledge on these biatches. Gretchen was like, oh shit, a dry Sancerre? She came to play. So Gretchen says, I wanted a witness there because I didn't want it to be another he said, she said situation. So that's why Gina's there. And Gina's like, Kiki Monique, I'm sorry that your full name is even getting tossed around in all this. And Kiki says, I would have never done this otherwise if it wasn't for that. I've spent years building up my reputation. And I've spent years like tearing down my reputation, you guys. Gretchen says, well, unfortunately, what happened for me is I was sideswiped with all of this information when I was out in Louisiana. Do you mean New Orleans? I know that's in Louisiana. But Gretchen says, and then I sat down with Katie and I'm like, you would never say something like that. And then she even said, it was a matter of fact, I have never even spoken to Kiki Monique about you. And we flash back to the car ride between Gretchen, Gina, and Katie. And Katie says, I had lunch with Kiki in October. I looked it up. And Gina's like, and she never brought any of this shit up at the lunch, Katie? And Katie's like, nope. And Kiki just shakes her head like, really? Kiki goes, I don't remember exactly how you came up, but she said that you guys had gone to dinner, and at the dinner, she was like, did you know that at Naked Wasted Night that Gretchen had to go to the hospital after, and she was drugged? Now, I think Gretchen is making a shocked face here, but I can't tell because, I know she's had minimal work, but I think she's shocked. But it's like, I'm trying to get my face to make a shocked face. So Kiki's like, I was like, my jaw dropped. I was like, what? And Gretchen said, she said that I said that? And Kiki's like, yeah, she said that you told her that. And Gretchen goes, that is just literally insane to me, Kiki Monique. I don't even understand why she would say that. Kiki goes, I was trying to get more. We should have wired Kiki Monique up. Kiki Monique should have been wired up like she was in Donnie Brasco or something, you know, like, are you wearing a wire, Kiki Monique? I got to pat you down before we have this lunch. But I like that Kiki's like, then I was feeling out for more information. I will say this is interesting, though. Kiki talked about this today on Jeff, and I totally agree with this. Sometimes you will talk to these people and they will say something batshit insane. And you're like, you do have this moment where you're like, are they telling me this in private, or are they telling me this in quote unquote private, but secretly they want me to spill it on the show or on my Instagram? And I'm not saying like, oh, look at, I'm so high in my, no, none of that shit. But I have dealt with certain people where you're like, oh, you want me to spill this, don't you? You're telling me this, but you want me to say this. And I usually just try to not say it, because then I'm like, haha, wrong person. I will not be saying, but I had something like that recently where I was like, do you want me to say this? Like, why are you telling me all of this information? You also know what I do. Why are you telling me all this information? It's like sometimes it's just a bizarre feeling, because you're trying to make sense of why they would tell you such personal things so quickly. And, you know, that's the other crazy thing, is that you think about Katie telling Kiki, meeting her for the first time, even though they were friendly, I guess, on Instagram and text, is that they're meeting and immediately talking about Gretchen saying that she was roofied. That's a big thing to tell somebody, right? So you would almost assume that it's under this, like, oh my God, get what Gretchen was saying the other night, huh? So anyways, Kiki says, like, her and Tamra haven't had a good relationship. Why has this not come out sooner? And Gretchen's like, exactly. Don't you think if I knew something like that, I would have said that 17 years ago? In a talking head, Gretchen says, I went out of my way to stick up for her with all these women, and I'm feeling extremely betrayed by the person that I thought was my friend. Gretchen goes, I don't even know what to say. And Kiki goes, well, Gina was a topic too. And Gina's like, oh, me? Who, little old me? Ooh. Yeah. I heard Kiki Monique is like, Travis's balls were a topic as well. She doesn't like how he's swinging them around. But anyways, Gina's like, what did this bitch say about me? Little old me. And Kiki goes, well, you know, it was... And Gretchen's like, you mean Gina was topic too? And Kiki goes, yeah, she said that she was trying to wear Asian designers to showcase them. And she said you came in and you saw her outfit and you looked at her and you said, is that an Asian designer? So, by the way, I would love to know with production is they obviously pre-interviewed Kiki, and that Gretchen didn't just happen to bring Gina. I think they were like, well, she said something about Gina too. So you will be doing the scene with Gina so Kiki can reveal that to Gina. That's my guess. Anyways, Kiki goes, implying, I guess, that it was meant to be sounding racist, you know. And Gina, we flash back to last season when we hear off mic, or like they're in a scene, and Katie, Janella, and Jenn Pedranti are talking, and Katie's like, Jen, did you hear what Gina said? And, you know, about my jacket. And Jen's like, no. She asked me what brand it was, and I told her. Then she goes, oh, is that an Asian designer? Because I said I wanted to wear like Asian designers. It was a dig. And Jen's like, it is? And then we cut to Gina at the scene, and Gina's like, she told me that she wanted to feature Asian designers. And I thought that was cool. And then the next thing you know, she gets these two fucking stylists, and she Patrick and Paul, and she shows up, and she's like, how? Like, oh my God, look at me. I'm wearing Balmain, and all these fancy fucking designers that are not fucking Asian. I'm here wearing Old Navy Contempo casuals, not fucking Balmain. And we flash back to her daughter and Katie going over like, oh, look at this Balmain, look at this. Like, very fancy. Like, how much money Katie has put into this season. And Gina goes, and I did say, Kiki Monique, oh, is that an Asian designer? Because I was fucking pissed at this girl by that point. Which is kind of a weird thing on Gina's part. I mean, like, listen, that is weird, Gina. I hope you understand. That is weird. Like, maybe let Katie have that one. Kiki says, I realized I was like, is she trying to feed me this? So I sat on it, but it felt like she was telling me this because I think she thought I was going to do something. So if Katie thought Kiki was going to do something, which she did do something, this is ended up being more problematic for Katie in the long run. So did Katie think this through? And what was Katie's hope? That it was going to get Tamra in trouble, but in a sense, it gets Gretchen in trouble. That's like, I don't know how this benefits Katie in any way. Gina in a talking head goes, I wanted to celebrate the fact that Katie wanted to come into this group and celebrate culture. And then she just didn't do any of it. So now I'm going to make fun of her for it. This is just another perfect example of all of her inconsistencies and all of her stories. And it feels performative, not like my accent. And then Kiki Monique is leaving, and Gina goes, thank you for being a reputable journalist, Kiki Monique. You're going to win the Pulitzer. And not running these stories, Kiki Monique. I also want to not running these stories. Does Gina know that Kiki doesn't work for the Washington Post? Like, it's like Kiki also is not the editor of the Bravo newspaper. Now, Kiki could have gone on Reality Check. Kiki could have posted on her very big platform or done a story. But Kiki's also really good at like posting things that are out there that have already been fact checked. Right? And she doesn't usually run loose with the things that so to me, I don't know, like Kiki's never done that kind of gotcha. She's not that kind of creator. I've never known her to be that kind of creator. So I think that would be a very weird person to pick for, like, I mean, I can understand Katie want to be friendly with Kiki, like keep not Kiki in her back pocket, but like, be friendly. That's a good person to be friendly with, but it's weird. But Kiki goes, yeah, try to salvage my reputation. No, Kiki's fine. In fact, like this I will predict that Kiki will host a panel at BravoCon. Listen, at this point, I said to her today, I think she's going to show up on the Valley because she's good friends with Sheena. She's friends with Janet. And who knows, right? Who knows? But do you really want any of this, right? Like, look, you don't want to wind up like any of these people. So Kiki leaves. I hope they paid for her drink. Yeah, seriously, did Kiki, I know they don't pay people, but hopefully they paid for her like ride out there or something. Yeah, Gretchen should have been like, do you want like a bag to go or something? So Kiki leaves and Gretchen's like, or Gina's like, do you feel better? At least you heard it directly from her. And Gretchen goes, I mean, better? I don't know if that's the right word, Gina. But I mean, I guess I had to. And then I think she starts crying, like, again, I can't tell because of the face movement, but she's like, people can't fucking do this shit to people. And Gina goes, I brought this girl here. You understand how I feel. And then Gretchen raises her arms to the sky of like, why have you forsaken me, Jesus? She goes, this is like really fucking messed up on every level. This is how how plastered her makeup on. There is no drip. There is no Erica Jane black mascara running down the face. Her makeup is so fucking set. This is how now I'm starting to be scared about whatever everybody's been trying to tell me forever. And I wasn't listening, and I'm mad at myself. I didn't listen. Why have you betrayed me? Didn't listen to what? Like, Tamra's a bad person, Katie's a lie. You're fine. You're fine. You're fine. But she goes, how would I know? How would I fucking know? Did the check clear, Alex Baskin? Slade, did the check clear? Okay. And then Gina's like, you know what, Gretchen? Everybody else will have your back. That's a Gina Kirschenheiter promise. I can promise you that. I speak for all the women. We all know the truth. And then Gretchen's like eyes are to the sky like, So we come back from break and we're at Heather Dubrow's place in Orange County that's actually in Beverly Hills, the Penthouse. And Heather is having like a cute little poker night with her family, all of her kids, right? Or most of her kids. And so they have the Penthouse, you guys, and then they have a different floor in the same building where everybody can have dinner together and watch television together. And, Kat's bedroom, Ace's bedroom, Heather and Terry's bedroom. And the Penthouse is more, she says, for quite frankly, sexy time. This is where Terry Dubrow has sex with his chat GPT. So I love probably the Dubrows play poker with like real money. Like everybody starts off with like 5,000 actual dollars. But it's cute. It's like, I joke about Heather a lot, but obviously they have a very strong family unit and they've built up, obviously, a very amazing, massive wealth. Also, did you notice? I don't know if Heather had some sort of thing removed from her nose, but she had a Band-Aid on her nose for a bunch of scenes in this episode. She almost looked like Nelly from back in the early aughts. In the backseat. Anyways, Ace is teaching Heather how to play poker, but she says, I love playing games with him, so I'll play whatever he wants. She seems like a great mom, like all joking aside. I want to play, I would like to play poker with the Dubrows. Heather talks about it being a mistake. If she knew now what she knew, if she knew then what she knew now, she would not have bought that $25 million house. So they're trying to sell it with the Altmans and the Flags. And Terry just wants to break even. But then Heather's like, if you kids, could have an option on where we could get a house and where you could leave your stuff, where would that house be? And then the son's like, for me, it's Palm Springs. I'm like, Jesus, my God. Back in the day, if my parents wouldn't ask me, they would tell me, this is where we're moving. We don't have a room for you, but you can sleep in like dad's office. Like that's what's happening. But I like that they're like, actually, this is how good of parents they are. They're like taking their kids, what you're like, the one Palm Springs? But Heather's like, for the time being, can I tell you, what we're doing is a Band-Aid. We will always need a place together. I just don't want them to come for dinner. I want them to have to stay. That's very sweet, or potentially threatening. Who knows? I have no idea where the kids are going to end up, so I'm just going to wait until they land somewhere, and then we'll worry about a family home. I want to live with the Dubrows, dude. So now we go to Emily's place, and Emily is talking about Nowruz, which is the Persian New Year, and she's with some, I think, party planner or something. She's like, and it's in the spring, and that's why it's spring, new life and everything. But each one of these represents something, and we see 7 symbolic items of Nowruz, and it's called Haft Scene. And we see them all put out. And she's like, what does the goldfish represent? And Mona, the party planner, says water. And Emily's like, okay, water, life, got it. A couple of the goldfish are dead, but it's fine. They can just float around in there. And the party planner's like, they die so fast. It's crazy. Just like Katie Janela. Emily says Persian is celebrating the spring equinox. It's the first day of spring on the Iranian calendar. And Shane's mother is Persian, and she holds these huge Persian New Year's parties every year. They're beautiful and elaborate, but because my father-in-law is in the hospital, Emily says, that has been canceled. So I felt like it was important that I continued on with the tradition. And we see this huge spread. This stuff looks delicious. Emily says she loves Persian culture, but my husband, Shane, is actually half Persian, couldn't name one thing on a Haft scene. Yeah, Shane likes a steady diet of big gulps and Big Macs. He's like my man, right? Yeah, Shane doesn't give a rip. He wants Chipotle. Emily says, I gave Shane some kebab and I said, see you later. Shane's like, I gave Emily some kebab. You know what I mean? Up high, down low, too slow. Emily says, what else do you do on Persian New Year's? Don't you jump over fire? And the party planner's like, we do. They say, take my weakness and give me your strength. Emily's like, do they do a lie detector test? Because that's what we're going to do on Persian New Year. That would have been way better. Is like, do the lie detector test. And on the way out of the lie detector test, you had like a ring of fire that all the women had to jump through, right? So we get out of that scene and we're over at Gina's place. And Gina's talking to her dog, Meatball. It's like, Meatball, I have to do my own glam because I spent all my money on your glam, Meatball. But you do look really good. I don't know. I guess a vet appointment. Who knows? And we're over at Katie. Katie's getting glam. She's wearing a Waffle House sweatshirt. I like that. The glam artist. Usually these housewives are closest to their glam artist. The glam artist is like, how are you doing today? Ooh, here's an idea. Glam artists for housewives should also be therapists, like have a therapist license. It'd be very cool. But Katie says she's nervous. She hasn't seen everybody since we left New Orleans, so that's always concerning. And the glam artist says, it's new beginnings, Persian New Year, right? And Katie's like, yeah. And a talking head, she says, we left New Orleans and it was super tumultuous. And we cut back to that dinner and Heather's like, Katie, we feel scared because the concern is what happens next. Katie says, Persian New Year is all about new beginnings, so I'm hoping we could all move forward and start from zero. Yeah, Kiki Monique has something to say about that. So we cut out of that glam scene and we go over to Gretchen and Slade. Gretchen's like, I don't want to be around Katie, Slade, but I also feel like I don't want to not go to Emily's party. And Slade's like, sorry, you have to deal with this. And then you guys, the couple that prays together stays together. That's right. Slade kneels down and holds Gretchen's hands and says, Dear Father, I pray today that Gretchen's given the strength to sit and face those who have attempted to wrong her. Please, Lord, smite them all. Strike them down with a furious anger, Lord. No, he doesn't say any of that stuff, but I just love that. Once again, God's like, Slade, I've told you this many times. Please, I'm so busy. There's a no housewives prayer policy. Or what if God was like, Slade, we don't like it when husbands get involved in any sort of housewives business. It's between the ladies. Like God's like, Slade, no, I will not listen. Please stay out of all scenes. Men should not be seen on Housewives. But Gretchen's like, thank you, honey. I put a fresh coat of makeup on. So we're back at Emily's. She's like, where's all my party people at? And Gina's the first one to come in. And Gina's like, it's me, Gina. This is so beautiful, Emily. You really put so much thought into this. Look at all these dead goldfish. How do you think today's going to go? And then Emily's like, here's the thing. I have two lie detector people. Here's the thing. Persian New Year is all about lie detecting. So I have 2 lie detector people here. And Gina Gina already knew, but Gina's like, yeah, now you're talking. You're doing this. All right. We cut to 1 week earlier and Gina's talking to Emily. Gina's like, I just want to ask so many people so many things. I'm Inspector Gina and I just got to get it all out and be done with it. We have to have her take a lie detector test. And we cut to Katie in a previous scene going, I'm not talking about a story with bloggers. If we notice though, maybe she's crossing her fingers in this scene of like, haha. But Gretchen, in New Orleans says, Katie, I believe you. I believe you. And then Katie says, I'll take a lie detector test. Lie detector test, and her voice echoes, lie detector, I didn't fucking do it. And then Emily in this flashback scene says, Gina, we could invite everyone over to my house and then we just have someone there to give everybody a lie detector test. It's perfect. We could say something like bullshit, like a Persian New Year. Nobody would suspect that. But the thing is, Emily's not paying for the lie detector people. That's production. So it's got to get approved by production. I mean, it is just so ridiculous. And it's funny the more that I talk about it out loud, but it's just ridiculous. And it's just weird, man. How about just having a conversation? Hey, couldn't we all just sit down on a couch and have just talk it out, maybe scream it out without being at a fancy restaurant? We just all go to Emily's and just hash it all out. Or let me lead a conversation. I can get these people talking. Come on. But we see that there are 2. There's 2 lie detector people, and they've set these rooms up with these strong black curtains, a blue chair, a gold chair. There's a lady with a severe bang thing happening, and then the dude that we see in every reality show ever. And Emily says, I'm not going to tell the women that they're here. I mean, I like that this is also I'm going to trap them in a room and then the lie detector guy's going to jump out. But Gina's like, I think this is a good idea. Yeah. There's so many versions of so many stories and so many he said, she said, especially with the stuff between Gretchen and obviously all the Katie stuff. Gina in a talking head says, it's so hard not to tell Emily about what happened with Kiki Monique because I want to tell her everything. Wait, why can't you tell Emily? I don't want to tell Emily because, that information, if she has it, she might be kidnapped or something. Let's all calm down here. And also, lie detector tests are usually not even admissible in court. So, it's not this is we're going to know for sure today. You know how many serial killers have passed lie detector tests? Anyways, Emily's big way to trick these people is that she printed out some things of like, please ask 2 to 3 burning questions. I love that this is Emily's like, I'm going to have people come in for the Persian New Year. I'm not going to tell them about the lie detector test, but I'm going to make them fill out, hey, do you have 2 to 3 burning questions? Like, it's like a stupid Housewives game. But we're just ramping it up on steroids. Jeana goes, honestly, that's really for Gretchen to tell people. So I'm just keeping my mouth shut about Kiki Monique. That's Gretchen's Kiki Monique, you know? And then Gina's filling her form out. She's like, Emily, how do you spell roofie? Listen, I even know how to spell roofie. And Emily goes, I just put drug. I'm glad we're all laughing about this, right? Oh, the date rape drug. Yeah, that's a big word, Jeana. Sound it out. Roofie. Heather Dubrow comes. Heather's not wearing black leather pants. She's like wearing red leather pants, right? And she's bringing some huge gift in. Jeana is telling Emily, what do I ask Jennifer? And Emily goes, ask her about the FBI. Emily's got some snark in her, right? I mean, these two snarky ladies, I kind of enjoy it, but, you know. Anyways, Heather comes in. Heather doesn't bring a bottle of champagne this time. I wonder if they were disappointed. Heather asks if somebody Heather's like, did somebody egg your house or is that part of a Persian New Year? And then we cut to 30 minutes earlier when Emily takes Jeana outside and Emily's like, we've got to create a barrier, Jeana, so that the evil spirits can't get in. And so they break a bunch of eggs. These are good eggs. Dude, you know how expensive eggs are? Like that's Emily's got spirit egg breaking money. That's how well Emily's doing right now, is that she is just throwing eggs to ward off spirits. Man, that's crazy. So then Jeana goes, what happened to your nose? And Heather's like, I had a biopsy yesterday, okay? It's a new accessory. And Gina's like, I love it. I'm going to do it. You know, that's very attractive. I love it. And Emily goes, I thought it was a Biore strip. You were just getting rid of your blackheads. And then Gina's like, Heather, we have homework already. Would you like me to share this with Heather, Emily, or would you like to share this? And Heather goes, wait, I need to talk to you for a second before the other girls come. I also would like to say the name Kiki Monique, Kiki Monique, Kiki Monique. No, she doesn't want to say any of that. But Heather goes, did you invite Tamra, Emily? And Emily goes, I texted her the same text that I sent to you guys. And we see the text says, hey guys, I just wanted to invite you to my house this Thursday around noon for a little Persian New Year gathering. I'll have drinks and Persian food for us to enjoy. That's the text that Emily sent. And Heather goes, remember I texted her after she left, where are you? Are you okay? And 5 days later, she texted me. She was pissed. And we cut back to that scene from last week where Tamra, not having a leg to stand on, but still finding anger within herself, because this is how Tamra spins things. Why don't you fucking understand where my head was at, Heather? I do, Tamra, and how I was feeling. You're sitting here making me sound like I'm a bad person. Tamra's so defensive. Man, you come at Tamra, she will hit you 10 times harder. But Emily's like, she was pissed at you, Heather? And Heather's like, oh yeah, and I'm very rich. Pissed at me, pissed at all of us. Emily's like, why is she mad at everyone? Heather's like, because she believes that everyone should have reached out to her to see if she was okay. And Jeana goes, she threw a fit. She told everybody to fuck off and she ran home. What am I checking up on? Sometimes Jeana nails it. Jeana nails it sometimes. I'm sorry. Hey, I'm sorry, Jeff Lewis. I disagree with you. I think Jeana nails it sometimes. Jeana goes, I think it's ridiculous. You can't play victim in the situation that you don't even remember. No, it's time to lay down, girl. It's time to lay down, girl. Now, Jeana's saying that in a talking head. What I would love for Jeana to say that to Tamra's face. And I don't know if Jeana's there yet. I don't know if she's got those Jedi powers. Emily says, should I have invited her? Because I don't know if she's going to come to the door and if she's just going to come in hot. I like Emily's subtext there is like, we're trying to take down Katie, and I don't want Tamra to screw this up at all, right? Yeah, but is she going to come in hot? And then all of a sudden, tense music as we see a van pull up. Dun, 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 dun. And the doorbell chimes. Who could it be? Who is at the door? And then we cut to commercial. We come back from break and it's just Jenn Pedranti. They was like, dun, dun, dun. It's like, hey, it's Jen. Jen's like, why are there eggs outside? And then all the ladies start entering, like Shannon, Katie's there. And like when Katie gets there, there's like obviously like immediate tension. Gina's like, I can't, screw Katie Janelle. Sorry, screw Katie Janella. And then Emily's like, okay, what I need everyone to do is ask a question that you want to know about each woman in this group. And I'm trying to see what Heather's writing down because Emily's like, we're going to do an activity later. And Jen's like, are these anonymous? And they're like, I think so. Or no, Shannon's like, are these anonymous? And they're like, I think so. And Shannon's like, oh, I put my name on it. Classic Shannon. I love that. And then there's a doorbell and it's Gretchen. And Gretchen's like, is Gretchen allowed to celebrate Persian New Year? Is that, who knows? Anyways, Gretchen hugs Gina. Gina's like, how are you? I've not seen you in forever. I most definitely didn't see you with Kiki Monique. Wink. Anyways, Katie says, hi, Gretchen. And Gretchen has her like hands in a fist, like she's nervous. She's being very kind of just quiet. It's very awkward all around Emily's kitchen island. And all the ladies look beautiful, though. All look beautiful. Katie says in a talking head, I'm confused. I'm literally on the outs with everyone because I was covering for Gretchen's lie. Shouldn't you be like, that's amazing you did that instead of treating me like a piece of shit? Gretchen in a talking head. What in the toddler and tiaras is Gretchen wearing in this talking head? It's like, truly, the Jean Bonnet rumors, I mean, it's wild. Anyways, Gretchen's like, I just want to say, why, Katie? Why would you lie straight to my face that you didn't tell Kiki Monique? I just feel like it's not the right place or time to have that argument with her. And so I just have to keep my cool at this moment. Emily tells the ladies, I have a little fun activity that we're going to do later. You just have to ask a couple questions. Now she's explaining this to Gretchen, right? I don't even know why we needed to leave this in the episode. But Heather's like, how do we know they're going to tell the truth to these questions? And Emily goes, maybe I have truth serum. Ooh. And Heather goes, that's called vodka. I just made a funny. Ha 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 ha. And they don't have alcohol yet. And Heather in a talking head goes, is this a religious thing? Is there a cash bar? Why no alcohol? Does alcohol throw off the lie detector tests? That must be a rule for lie detectors. No alcohol. And Jenn Pedranti keeps asking questions going, can I really ask anything I want to ask? Can I ask Gina if she takes it up the butt? No, she didn't say that. But Jen goes, in the nature of being very kind, and Heather's like, give us some examples of questions. And Gina goes, well, I already wrote one out for you. And then I crossed it out, Heather, because it's just not worth pissing you off. It's okay. I can't see what she wrote crossed out. But then I do see one she wrote, how are you so much fun for Shannon? Katie says, I don't know what to ask to Jen. And Jen goes, you mean Gretchen? And then Katie asked Jenn Pedranti, are you going to be honest? Maybe I'll ask Gretchen, are you going to be honest? And Gretchen says, are there things you've done to Tamra that you need to apologize for? And then Gina goes, is your hair real, bitch? That's what I want to know. Yeah, for Gretchen, that's what I want to know. Gina goes, I don't know what's happening here, but I'm going to get to the bottom of it with your hair. Oh, yeah, one of it's, do you wear condoms with Ryan for Jenn Pedranti? Tamra says, do you really think Jen is obsessed with you? That's a question for Tamra. And then Heather, in response to Jen, says something, you're right, I called the paparazzi. You can ask that, Jen, because did Heather Dubrow call the paparazzi at Disneyland to take that wacky photo of her and Terry Dubrow holding each other? I know Disneyland is fun and romantic, but come on. I mean, listen, if she didn't call the paparazzi and that truly is how they are, just incognito, just holding each other like that, good for them, right? Anyways, Jeana sits down next to Gretchen and says, hey, I know you're having a hard time. I don't know. And part of me, and this is just, I guess I'm just so desensitized and so black-hearted, is that like, I just feel like it just reads like Gretchen's putting on a little bit of an act. Like she's this shell-shocked. This has just really rattled her. And part of me, and I'm sorry, just like, listen, part of me, even though I enjoy Gretchen this season, part of me is just like, she's playing this up. It's like she's got a little storyline now and she's really making the most of this, right? But Jeana goes, there's a plan. We're going to get through this day, okay? Just trust me, trust old Jeana. I promise you. And Gretchen's like, I appreciate you. I appreciate you. And we see Katie watching this whole thing, this whole conversation go down, right? So then the ladies are getting some food. And Shannon goes, question of the hour, is someone named Tamra Judge coming? And Emily goes, I think so, but she's mad at me, Emily says. And Gina's like, she's mad at everybody. And then Shannon and I talking to her goes, that's ridiculous. Tamra's mad? She can storm off. She can publicly quit and then expects everyone to forgive her or forget what's happened. But she doesn't give other people that grace. Exactly, Shannon. Emily says, I had a conversation with Shane. I said, I think maybe I should reach out like fucking happened. And I got overwhelmed with what was going on with my son. And I just... it's not my priority at the moment. And she's like, yeah, Tamra can't always be the priority at the moment, And then all of a sudden, Tamra gets out of her car, dressed in red. Lady in red, dancing with me. Tamra goes, what am I walking into? And then Jenn in the house says, I'll end up being the dick and just say, okay, blah, I'm so happy you're back, blah, blah, blah. And then the doorbell chimes and Shannon's like, no, Jenn, no. Don't do that. No. And then Tamra's like posing at the door like, it's me. Tamra goes, did you think you could get rid of me that easy? She's been planning that line. Her and Teddy went over that line for like weeks. So they're like, okay. Emily goes, Tamra, are you mad at me? And Tamra's like, just sad you didn't call me. And Emily goes, I get it. No, do you get it? Emily, don't say you got it. You don't got it. But Emily goes, I have a lot of stuff going on with my son, Luke, which I haven't shared with you. I've shared it with the cameras, but not you. He has an eating disorder. And when we came back from New Orleans, he had regressed. So it was very hard for me to focus on anything else. I'm sorry, I should have reached out to you. I feel this is too nice towards Tamra. Like, Emily, come on. You just this is Emily. Come on. Have a little backbone with Tamra. You have a leg to stand on. You do not need to bow down to Tamra. Tamra was the one that chose. Anyways, Tamra's like, no, it's okay. And Gina's like, I'm just gonna go say hello to Tamra. Let's see if Jeana falls very easily. And now Tamra hides behind Emily in a joking manner. And Gina's like, I want to nip it now, Tamra. And Tamra goes, I'm sorry, Jeana. Thank you. And then Shannon's like, because everything's just peachy keen and fine. You can tell people off. You can go on social media. You can take a vacation and you'll be welcomed with open arms. Jeana goes, Tamra, but you understand I do genuinely love you. But my son also has something going on with his eating. Yeah, that's a ticket. No, Tamra goes, Jeana, I just wish. And Jeana goes, just go to fucking bed and let's talk about it tomorrow. That's what I wish you had done in New Orleans. Come on. Tamra goes, I know. Part of my problem is that I'm finding out in therapy, I've gone twice now, is I don't know how to process emotion. And Jeana goes, but don't push us away. Emily goes, when you're upset, can you share? And Tamra goes, well, you got Katie and this fucking girl that's going and saying horrible things. Listen, it's fucking Housewives, Toots. You know this. You say horrible things too. Jeana goes, don't worry about Katie. All right, Tamra? Don't worry about Katie. Gina's got this, Tamra. You wait. Don't worry about Katie. And Tamra goes, how can you not? And Jeana goes, because we gotta. Yeah. Emily goes, today will be a pivotal day in this group. It will be one of the tackiest episodes of Orange County ever, Tamra. Do you trust us? Anyways, Katie's talking to Jenn going, I kind of feel sick. I got to go to the bathroom. And Jen's like, what? Katie's like, I got a shit. I got the chachis. I got IBS. And she's looking at the doors. And in my mind, I was like, oh my God, Katie's going to open the wrong door and go into the lie detector room. That's what I thought. But that didn't happen. Like, I totally thought that was going to happen. Anyways, Tamra comes in, hugs Heather, hugs Shannon, and they're asking for all the questions. And Heather's like, you've got to ask burning questions, Tamra. Did you, really forget to call me on my birthday? So Heather's helping Tamra with her questionnaire. I don't know, you guys. They're all catching Tamra up to speed. Gretchen says she wants to talk to Jenn at some point. Like, I want to talk to you. So there's some battle lines being drawn. And, you can tell Jenn is linked up with Gretchen now. So they're going to be potentially on season 20 as a team, unless Tamra can find a way to get Gretchen off. Who knows? Anyways, Emily's like, hey, gather around. I'm going to make a Persian New Year speech, because I thought in order to move forward, maybe we need to ask each other some deeper questions and really get the truth. Because I feel like there's a lot of things going on that are splintering us as a group. Like Kiki Monique. No, she didn't say that. So today, what we are going to do is we are all going to take a lie detector test. And Jenn goes, ooh. And Katie goes, great, great. But she looks like she shat herself. Like, oh, I just sharted. Great, great, great. And then Shannon goes, I don't want to, I don't like it. I love you, Shannon. I don't like it. I don't. Emily goes, nobody has to do this if you don't want to. And Jen's like, this is going to get interesting real quick. And Heather's like, can we change our questions? That's a question I've got to ask. And then Shannon's like, that's why there's no alcohol. Damn it. And then we cut to commercial. Okay, so some of the ladies are going off to do the lie detector test, and they're talking to Tamra goes, I'm a truth teller, so this does not bother me whatsoever. Okay, let's all take a second to laugh heartily at that. I mean, you're a gaslighter. I don't know about a truth teller, but Tamra's like, this is great. And Shannon in a talking head goes, this is not what I signed up for today. And then Gretchen goes, fuck yeah, let's go. She goes, let's go. Fuck yeah, let's go. Katie in her talking head goes, I'm full of nerves. I'm so nauseous. And Jen's like, it's that bad right now? Katie says, polygraphs are not fun. This is, wait, how many polygraphs have you done? You know what? It is not fun. I've done them many times. But she says, this is all anxiety for me. And then Jeana goes, you'll know that you people are about to be exposed for your lies. Gina's getting extra crazy lately. You'll be exposed for your lies. It's me, Gina. I'm getting very animated. I'm like a Pixar cartoon. Yeah. So all these women are getting taken back into the Saw room. Like, do you want to play a game? Gina's like, this is like so legit. Yeah, this is crazy. Emily sits down in the chair with the lady. Emily's like, this feels very Sharon Stone. This feels like a very Sharon Stone moment to me, referring to the 1995 movie Basic Instinct, where Sharon Stone uncrossed her leg during interrogation and showed her hoo-ha. And I was like, oh my God, Emily, please don't show your hoo-ha like Shannon did in New Orleans. Anyways, the polygraph lady's like, all right, I'm going to hook you up. And Gina's like, how accurate is this? She's with the dude. And the dude's like, it's medical equipment, so it's 100% reading where your blood, sweat, and breathing are doing. The lady tells Emily, only answer yes or no. Don't talk in between the questions. And Gina's like, what is the body response? Should I be farting? Huh? The guy's like, upper breathing, lower breathing. The lady tells Jenn, some questions on this test, they're going to sound odd to you. It lets me see how you respond, as we see a montage of all of the ladies getting hooked up. The lady goes, most important thing is that you don't move. When you move, it looks like a reaction, and a reaction looks like a lie. The guy goes, blood pressure, finger moisture. Gina's like, finger moisture? Woo, okay. This guy does not make you feel comfortable. I'll say that much. He makes you feel like you're about to fucking fail. This lie detector test. Maybe I got naked wasted by Tamra with roofies. The guy's like, here we go, Gina. Yes or no answers. The lady asks Emily, is your first name Emily? Emily immediately lies. No. And then it's a montage. Is your name Jennifer? Yes. The guy asks Tamra, do you know how to ride a bicycle? Yes, Tamra says. The lady asks Jenn, do you intend to lie to me today? Jenn goes, no, unless you're the FBI. No, Jenn just goes, no. The guy asks Heather, would you rather be a housewife of Beverly Hills? That's funny. A lady asks, are you currently keeping any secrets to Jenn? Jenn says no. The lady asks Jenn, what is half of 10 times 5? Jenn goes 5. Half of 10 times 5, that would be 25. Jenn has let us know in previous seasons that she has not been good with her finances. We see now that she obviously is not good with numbers. She realizes she's made a mistake. The guy asks Heather, can you speak any Russian? And Heather goes, niet. The lady asks Emily, do you intend to answer truthfully? Emily says, yes. The guy asks Gina, does Travis have big balls? This is legitimately a question. Normally that would be a Ryan Bailey so bad it's good joke. That's legitimately the question. And my God, I laughed. I feel like if anything, we were talking earlier about bloggers influencing the show. I said I don't want that to happen, but in this moment, I hope I influenced that question. Like that, I hope. If I could be a little cocky, I feel like I'd talk about Travis's balls so much that I hope that was inspired by this show. Does Travis have big balls? And Gina's like, she starts laughing. She's like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Let me compose myself. Travis's balls. In a talking head, she goes, I'm panicking because I'm like, I think they're big, but I haven't seen that many balls. Wow. Gina backtracking on Travis's balls. Who's the liar now, Gina? Is it weird to get caught in a lie that we're now finding out that Travis might have medium to smaller sized nuts? Are you kidding? You call yourself some sort of truth teller and you can pass judgment on these ladies when you're lying about Travis's balls? The lady asks Emily, do you talk badly about Heather Dubrow in front of your children? Because that was a storyline, for the last 2 seasons. And Emily says no. The guy asks Tamra, were you really told you were on the spectrum of autism? And we flash to 2 T's in the pod where she tells Teddy, I am on the spectrum. And she's all proud. Hey, get this, Teddy. I, Tamra Judge, am on the old spectrum. The guy asks Gina, do you keep Heather around for her real estate contacts? And that was a storyline, right? Heather saying, you told Katie that the only reason you keep me close, Gina, is because of my real estate connections. And then the guy asks Heather, did you call the paparazzi to meet you at Disneyland? And that was another storyline. Tamra says, Katie said that you call the paparazzi and you tell them where you're at all the time. It is interesting how many of these things have come through Katie. That is interesting, right? It is interesting. The guy asks Tamra, did you make contact with Slade's ex to dig up information? And we flash back to an earlier OC reunion. My God, the different look on Tamra. And Tamra at a reunion says, Michelle called me yesterday. And Slade goes, she says you called her fishing for information. And Tamra goes, that's a lie. And then we are done with this set of ladies. And Heather's like, it's crazy. Even when you know you're telling the truth, you're like, interesting. Am I telling the truth? Gina's like, I hope I passed the lie detector. Shannon hasn't gone in yet. She's like, I have weird nightmares all the time. One is that I'm taking a lie detector test and I'm telling the truth. And they go, you're a liar. And then I'm like, no, I'm innocent. Shannon in a talking head goes, this is one of my wacky Shannon nightmares. So Gina's telling Shannon where to go to the lie detector room. And Shannon's like, I have anxiety about this. It's scary. I did not expect to be wired up to a machine. The guy asks Shannon, did you make out with multiple men in Newport? You think you're better looking than some of your castmates? Do you want a friendship with Tamra? Shannon's like, I think that I could possibly make myself so nervous that I'm going to screw it up. I mean, am I telling the truth? Tamra tells the guy, you're very serious. Can I date you? Can I date you above the neck, sir? above the neck. Anyway, Shannon comes out. That wasn't fun. All the ladies are laughing. And now it's Katie's turn, you guys. It's Katie's turn. So Katie walks in. She's with the lady, lie detector person. And Gretchen goes to the male person, right? Have you ever taken a lie detector test before? And, Gretchen's like, no, I haven't. Heather's getting a glass of champagne in a big old glass. So we cut back to the room. The lady tells Katie, please do not lie to me today. Katie goes, this makes me so anxious. I don't, oh God. The lady goes, polygraphs don't work off of anxiety. I mean, they don't? Doesn't anxiety affect your heart? I mean, how doesn't it affect off anxiety? I'm an anxious person. My blood pressure is high all the time. How does that not affect it? But Katie goes, I know, but I'm anxious of this. And the lady asks Katie, are you normally an anxious person? And Katie goes, well, with this group, yes. And she laughs. And then outside, Heather asks Gretchen, Gretchen, have you spoke to her at all? She's very upset or something. I don't know what's going on. And Emily goes, I bet Gretcher's met with Kiki. And Gina knows the answer to this, but doesn't want to say, Gina knows the answer if Gretchen's met with Kiki Monique. We flash back to 2 days earlier when Gretchen told Emily and Jenn Pedranti saying, I'm going to have to call Kiki because I do feel like there's something weird there. Emily goes, Gina knows. And Jen's like, what do you know, Gina? Have you talked to Gretchen about this? And Tamra goes, did you see Kiki yesterday, Gina? And Gina's like, my blood pressure's going through the roof. And Heather goes, but Gretchen confided in you. So you kind of have an idea what's going on. And Gina's like, yeah, I don't think it's my place to tell, but I know and understand why she's upset. So now Katie inside the lie detector room goes, okay, let's do it. Can I keep my eyes closed? And the lady's like, yeah, you can totally do that. Did you play the recording of Shannon for Alexis? Katie says no. The guy asks Gretchen, have you planted stories about Tamra in the media? Gretchen says no. Katie says, oh my God, my heart's pumping. The lady asks Katie, have you leaked any stories to the press? Katie goes, no. And then he goes, oh, I feel sick. Who wrote this question? The guy asks Gretchen, did you go to the hospital after naked wasted? Gretchen goes, no. Gretchen's doing it very quietly, like, no. The lady asks Katie, did Gretchen tell you she was drugged and went to the hospital? Katie goes, yes. The guy asks Gretchen, did you tell Katie and Jenn that you were drugged? Gretchen says, no. The lady asks Katie, did you tell Kiki that Gretchen said she was drugged and hospitalized? Katie goes, no. Gretchen in a talking head goes, all I want to do is scream from the mountaintops that Katie lied. Katie in her talking head goes, I told the truth, and that's all I can do. The guy goes, okay, I can unhook you, Gretchen. And then the lady asks Katie, how do you feel? Katie goes, horrible. I really, really hope that all this mess about naked wasted comes to light. I'm tired of being the fall person for all of Gretchen's lies. Gretchen comes out, and Emily's like, how did it go, Gretchers? When did we start calling Gretchen Gretchers? And can we stop? Gretchen goes, I mean, it definitely is intense, for sure. In a talking head, Gretchen says, I know I was telling the truth, so I'm confident that it's going to prove my innocence and that she's a liar. The lady unhooks Katie, and the lady goes, well, Katie, I'm sure that you never want to see me again. And Katie's like, yeah. Katie in a talking head goes, the truth always comes to light, and Gretchen's going to know that I'm not covering for her anymore. So Katie walks down the stairs, and everybody's still awkward around Katie. And then the polygraph lady is by herself in the room and says, she's so full of shit, and starts laughing, which is not very professional for a lie detector lady. I feel there's a little showiness going on with these lie detector people. Not the guy. He's like a brick wall, but this lady's like, that's not professional. I don't want that out of my lie detector person, even if I'm telling the truth. Okay, so the lady is like, okay, I got the results. Her name's Wendy, but she spells it W-E-N-D-I-E. Interesting, Wendy. Anyways, Emily's the first to go. And the question was, do you think you're a better lawyer than Shane? And Emily says, abso-fucking-lutely. And the polygraph person was like, that is correct. You passed. That's an easy one. Do you talk badly about Heather in front of your children? And Emily had answered no. And Wendy says, that is true. You passed that. I still think Emily did. I just think it's natural. I just don't think she does it specifically like, hey, kids, let me talk to you about Heather. But I think it just came out. But Heather's watching this going, interesting. Katie in a talking head, the producer asked Katie, what is your reaction to this? And Katie goes, bullshit. So already Katie not looking good. And now it's Jeana. And Gina's like, oh, God, it's me? Oh, it's your little old Jeana. Wendy says, did you say you keep Heather around for her real estate contacts? And Gina's like, no, you passed on that. And Gina's like, thank the literal Lord. I'm building my real estate empire by myself. And Heather goes, I wouldn't have believed it anyway. And then they're like, but Heather's the one that asked that question. Heather goes, oh, yes, I did ask that question. And everybody's laughing. Heather in a talking head goes, the whole thing of Jeana using me for real estate connections is so silly to me. Katie in a talking head goes, that is such a lie. I don't believe it at all. Okay, now it's Tamra. So Wendy says, did you contact Slade's ex to dig up information? And Tamra goes, I don't know if she reached out to me or if I reached out to her. I don't remember. So I just said yes, meaning that I did talk. And Wendy goes, okay, so you spoke with her. And Tamra's like, oh, I spoke with her, yes. And she passed that one. So Tamra is so wily. Is that like, I don't know if she's gonna be, like she covered all the bases there. But basically, so Tamra lied at some point, just not today. Gretchen in a talking head goes, Tamra is protecting her ass, and it's going to prove that she's a liar if she doesn't admit to the truth. She just wanted to hear anything to make Slade look like he was a deadbeat, which, by the way, if they were really shady, they should have asked, do you believe if Slade was a deadbeat dad and didn't pay his child support? That's what they should have asked. But anyways, we flash back to that reunion. It was like, oh, I know you pay child support, Slade. And he's like, yeah, if I didn't pay child support, I'd be in jail. But I'm sorry, there's articles out there that says he didn't pay his child support. Gretchen says there is a manipulation, a calculation, an intent behind every single thing that woman does. I totally agree with Gretchen. But I think Gretchen is the same way. Anyways, now the next one is, do you want a friendship with Shannon? And Tamra said yes. And she passed that one. And the next one, were you really told you were on the spectrum of autism? And she had answered yes on this. And she failed that one. And Tamra goes, how could I fail that one? We flash back to the therapist, and the therapist says, Tamra, we talked about process trauma and whether or not the spectrum was a part of this. It's hard to say until you get an assessment. And Tamra in the scene goes, that's bullshit. No, it's not bullshit. The therapist clearly said you have to get all the tests, which you didn't do. Now it's Jennifer. Jennifer, did you befriend Tamra with ulterior motives? Jen says no. She passed that one. Tamra in a talking head goes, oh, God, give me a break. Give me a break. Do you trust Katie Ginella? Jen says yes. She passed that one as well. Jen says, I know that I can be very naive, and I do like Katie, and I do trust Katie, and I do enjoy Katie, but am I also being lied to? Or is everybody else wrong? She says in a talking head. It's so confusing. Katie says, it feels good to have somebody that's a true friend here with me. Now, the next one is, do you have any serious reservations about marrying Ryan? She answered no. And Wendy goes, you reacted significantly to that question. And Jen's like, does that mean I failed it? Can I still marry him? But she failed that question. And Wendy goes, you failed it significantly. Like, calm down, Wendy. Jen in the talking head goes, I just don't ever want to go through what I went through in my divorce. I don't want to unwind someone else over my kids. That was a very scary time for the kids and I. So failing that question, even though it bothers me, it doesn't surprise me. Yeah, I could totally get that. I totally get that. Now, Wendy says, okay, Shannon, did you make out with multiple men in Newport? And Shannon goes, absolutely. And everybody laughs. And Wendy goes, okay, good for you. Wendy, what? We don't need your little side comments, Wendy. Just do the lie detecting. But Shannon goes, I like Shannon's laugh. But she passed that. So Shannon is mated with multiple men in Newport. She's a kissing bandit. Now's the next one. Do you want a friendship with Tamra? And Shannon says, I want to say maybe. I don't know. I'm very confused about it, John, who's the lie detector guy. And Wendy says you passed, even though it seems very confusing. Tamra says, I do miss my friendship with Shannon. I think that Shannon knows my heart, and she knows that I've always been good to her. Dude, it's such a politician answer. No, you haven't always been good to her. You said the gnarliest things. Who knows what you've said to her, but you said the gnarliest things on your podcast and in the press. Tamra says, I'm hoping that we can just move forward. It's almost like, you better move forward or I'm going to keep bashing you in the press. Now it's Heather's. Would you rather be a housewife of Beverly Hills? And Heather answered, yes. And that was true. And Heather goes, it's closer. I live in Beverly Hills. Finally, we're being honest about this. And Heather goes, I told them everybody's going to be pissed and say you think you're better than us. And they're like, yeah, you don't want to be friends with us, blah, 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 blah. And Shannon's like, we don't need to keep explaining, Heather. It's all good. Emily in a talking head goes, she's got her fancy pants in a twist. Jeana goes, you're basically like, I prefer a better commute. That's like really fucked up. You have a driver. It is, guys, like all kidding aside, it's a really long commute. Like, depending on what time of day you hit it, that's like 2 hours. Like, no shit. Like, yeah, you're going to be on TV, but it's a really long commute. Tamra says, we all know Heather would rather be with the rich girls than us. Tamra's a rich girl too, by the way. Anyways, now the next one is, so did you call the paparazzi to meet you at Disneyland? And Heather says, no. And she failed that one. She failed that one. And Heather goes, well, I don't know what to tell you. I didn't call the paparazzi. I've already sworn on my children's lives. Her kids were found dead later that day. No, Katie in the talking head goes, this does feel good to see Heather being called out for calling the paparazzi. Jen says, I don't know why Heather doesn't say, you know how amazing I am? I pick up the phone and paparazzi shows up at Disneyland. I would pick up the phone and they'd be like, who? See, that's where they're all trying to get to. They're all trying to get to the place where Heather is, where you can call paparazzi and people give a shit. And also, that is the most paparazzi staged photo I've ever seen. Anyways, now it's Gretchen. Wendy says, did you tell Katie and Jen that you were drugged? No. And that was truthful. And Tamra claps. Right? And the next one is, did you go to the hospital after Naked Wasted? And Gretchen says, no. And that was truthful. And Shannon's like, what? And Tamra's like, I'm really suspicious about Gretchen. I said to her point blankly, did you go to the hospital? And she said, we flash back to the scene in the car with Shannon, Tamra, and Gretchen. And Gretchen's like, I did the next day. Yes, I went to the hospital. I was so sick. And Shannon in a talking head goes, Gretchen told Tamra and I that she went to the hospital, but she's passing that she didn't? It doesn't make sense. Tamra says some liars, especially practiced, can pass. Well, there you go. She's reading off of her phone. Yeah, but Tamra, that can mean the same for you as well, right? Tamra goes, she's a known liar. Liar. Now, the next one is, have you planted stories about Tamra in the media? Gretchen says, no. That was also truthful, Wendy says. And Wendy goes, you got a whole truthful test because she's a follower of God. Entire test. And now it says, are we ready for Katie's? And we hear the music build. Cut to our last commercial. Okay, now it says, we're back from commercial. Did you tell Katie, that Gretchen said she was drugged and hospitalized? No, Katie failed it. Did you play the recording of Shannon for Alexis? She said no, failed that one as well. And by the way, Alexis Bellino even's come out and said, yes, I did hear that, which makes Alexis look bad, but she said... Now the next one is, did Gretchen tell you she was drugged and went to the hospital? She said yes. And Gretchen goes, you literally said yes, Katie. And Katie's like, it's a polygraph, Gretchen. And Gretchen's like, you really said yes to that. And they're like, did she pass that one? And Wendy's like, she failed that one. So she failed that one as well. And Gretchen's just shaking her head. Katie's shaking her head as well. And then Wendy goes, you did the worst out of everybody. Wendy, calm down, Wendy. And everybody's just looking at Katie. And Katie's like, great. And then Wendy goes, those questions about Gretchen, you failed those very badly. And then Heather's like, this is like the boy who cried wolf. I mean, Katie's lips are moving. She's lying. And then Emily, standing up there with Wendy, with the power of the Persian New Year in her, goes, Katie, you clearly lie. And Gretchen's like, yeah, you lie. And Katie's like, Gretchen, we sat at that dinner and everyone heard it. I'm not the only one telling this. And Gretchen's like, oh my God. Katie goes, Jen was there. Ryan was there. Matt was there. And Tamra's like, what dinner? What dinner? What dinner? And Gretchen's like, she's talking about the dinner at Mastro's. And Katie goes, Slade even called Matt and said, don't share this. And Gretchen's like, no, he did not. You are literally making this up. And Katie's like, no, I'm not, Jen. And Jen's like, why are you looking at me? And Katie's like, I'm not lying. And then Gretchen goes, first of all, I met with Kiki Monique yesterday. Dun, dun, dun. Kiki Monique's name. And she told me that you said that to her. And Gina's like, you did. I was there as well with Kiki Monique. And Katie goes, I swear to God. And Jen's like, we were sitting there and we talked. And I said she did say she was sick as shit. And Gretchen says, I said I was so sick I should have gone to the hospital. That's what I said. Jen, in a talking head, goes, how dare you tell this lie, Katie? Like, I feel so dumb. I feel so duped. I wanted someone that I was close to in this friend group, and Katie was that for me. And in one instant of failing all those questions, that was gone. In the scene, Emily goes, Katie, nobody believes you. Not even the lie detector test. You failed every question. Now, Emily's like, Emily, why are you, dude, you are like, Emily's all of a sudden, it's like She-Hulk or something. Like, you failed every question. And Gretchen's like, oh my God, I literally can't. Katie in a talking head goes, this has got to be wrong. I'll take it again. Yeah, take it again then. Because I know 1,000% I told the truth. Wholeheartedly. Gretchen says, I feel like an idiot because I believed her. And I didn't believe all these other women. But now I know she is a liar. Like, I want nothing to do with you. Now we get back in the scene. And Gina goes, by the way, Katie, you tried to chuck me under the bus as well. And tried to say, yeah, you tried to tell Kiki Monique that I said last year, insinuating that I was a racist. That's what Kiki Monique said yesterday. And everything I did for you and help you, try to be a good friend to you, Katie. You're going to sit there with Kiki Monique, a respected journalist, and you're going to try and say something that really paints me in that light? Katie says, I grew up in a predominantly white suburb, she says in a talking head. And sometimes people don't know how racially charged they sound. And I don't think Gina knows that came out that way, but it did, and it made me feel horrible. I actually believe there is an element of truth to that. Anyways, Gina's like, you've lost your credibility with everybody here. And then Emily goes, yeah, Katie, maybe you should go. Yeah, Katie, maybe you should go. You should go. Emily's really on one. And Katie's like, okay. And by the way, Katie on the way out goes, Gina, you did say that, though. You should have addressed it. You shouldn't have gone to the press with it. You shouldn't have gone to the press with the Asian thing. The press with it. Oh, my gosh. Anyways, Katie's walking outside. And she's talking to one of the producers, Kendall. And Katie's like, that's fucking bullshit. I didn't lie, Kendall. And Kendall goes, so Gretchen did tell you that? And Katie's like, yeah, and Jen was sitting there, and that's what makes me so upset. Jen literally heard it. In a talking head, Katie goes, Jen could have used this opportunity to back me up a little bit, and instead, she chose the other side. And that is extremely hurtful. And then Tamra with the other lady goes, did she admit to meeting with Kiki Monique? And Gretchen's like, yeah, she said, yes, I met with Kiki. But she said to me and Gina in the car, I've never even mentioned Gretchen's name to Kiki Monique. And Jen goes, she told me she doesn't even talk about us. So I asked her, why do you meet with them? Because don't you think our friends feel like you meet with these bloggers and discuss us? She said, Jen, I don't. Then I'm like, then stop. They're not your friends. That's true. And Tamra goes, you never told her that you roofied or went to the hospital. And Gretchen's like, no, none of that. And Tamra goes, she sat here right now and said Slade called Matt. And Gretchen goes, he did call Matt. Annabelle, Emily's daughter, 12, like is walking like, hey, mom, sorry to break up the fight. I got to go. I love the wave. I love the wave. That was great. Mom, you're doing great. I heard you yelling upstairs. But Gretchen goes, no, he did. What I understood is that he called Matt to say, what the fuck is your wife out saying and doing? Like, what is she doing? Which is also weird on Slade's part. Like, stay the fuck out of it. Matt, everybody, stay out of it. And Gina's like, she's spinning something. Gretchen goes, spinning something to some other thing. And then Katie's outside talking to the producer, says, Matt, Slade, and Ryan all had phone calls about this, and we're not supposed to share it. And so, like, I'm all through. Do I lie for Gretchen? Do I not lie for Gretchen? I'm done. Katie in a talking head says, no one is going to believe me, but I can lay my head at night knowing I told the truth. This might be like the last time anyone sees me with this group of women. Maybe we move Katie to Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Who knows? And then she gets up off of her talking head chair, and it says to be continued. And we don't get scenes for next week's episode. Oh my God, you guys, thank God we got to the end of this. I am barely breathing right now. Whew, I don't know. I could barely get through this recap. I hope you enjoyed some of this. A couple of things that I thought were interesting to read to you guys. Gretchen, after tonight's episode, was posting. She posted on her story, says, funny how I'm the one who passed the lie detector test 100%, but the two proven liars in this group are out doing press, continuing to make up tons of stories about me and Slade. Those two people, I believe, are Tamra and Katie. And then she did another story, says, I feel like an idiot that I actually stuck up for Katie with this group when they all warned me about Katie and said she just makes up lies. Now, Tamra is so weird because Tamra and Katie are okay. In fact, Katie posted one of the dresses she wore, and Tamra Judge wrote, girl, that dress was fire emoji. And Katie Ginella wrote back, thanks, girlfriend, 3 hearts emojis. So they're okay with each other. Tamra is so funny, man. It's all a game of risk and strategy, right? So we had that. And then one of my favorite follows on Threads, Dustin Cohn, he was very upset about the lie detector stuff. He says, Gretchen admitted to going to the hospital after the Naked Wasted episode, but during the lie detector test, Gretchen said she didn't. And somehow that was truthful. It was a setup, this guy believes. He believes this whole thing was a setup. And he also posted stuff about the lie detector people. This guy, Grogan, is his last name. Grogan's journey began as a private investigator in California. In 2004, he supposedly received an honorary polygraph training certificate from the American College of Forensic Studies. According to a letter from ACFS owner, this certificate was not intended to qualify recipients as polygraph examiners. Moreover, this letter highlights Grogan's problematic behavior during his time at ACFS and clarifies that ACFS was never a recognized polygraph training institution. So this guy might be out there doing illegal back alley polygraph examinations. You guys, I love that us as an audience will even take down the polygraph people. We're like, we will destroy you. He also, this person set up Trisha Paytas, the huge influencer and podcaster. Trisha Paytas did one on her show, and Trisha said, I've been hooked up to him, and he literally will say like, oh, I can give you whatever answer you want. He said, tell me what you want me to say, she added. So there's that. So that's it, you guys. I mean, at the end of the day, it's just Housewives. I think Katie lies. I do. I think she got caught up in the lies. I don't know what the purpose was. And she's just so bad at it. She's clunky at it. Like Tamra's smooth, Gretchen's smooth. Like these are pros. You can't come in your second season and like just do this. You're getting too lost in the sauce. And I don't want to believe Katie is evil, like just evil. I don't believe, but like what happened? I mean, just too many things. Like what? It's so confusing to me. And yeah, that's it. What did you guys think of this? I mean, it was still fun to recap. And what do you think? Who do you want to see moving forward, continue on this show? I do also think that Gretchen might have jokingly said this at dinner, but I mean, And I also think there is, like, they do take this shit really seriously, you guys. Remember, this is good money for these people. And some of these people have been out in the wilderness for a while and they need a steady paycheck or like a nice little boost to their personal economies. So there is like plotting done. Like, I totally believe this. I don't believe Gretchen and Slade just went in there of like, we'll just see what happens. It'll just be fun. No, you don't get back on the show that way. You got to do something. You got to have a storyline. So I don't know. I mean, we're all liars. Not you guys. You guys are perfect. Have a great weekend, you guys. There might be a surprise episode this weekend. Who knows? We got some Patreon stuff coming out as well. Patreon.com/so bad it's good. We just recapped the last 2 episodes and just like that. We did a live Patreon this week and there is more to come. But you guys, it's Friday, man. Eat something good, drink something great. You got a 3-day weekend. Tell people you love them. Reach out to people you haven't talked to for a while and just heavy breathe and hang up. Watch movies, stay away from reality TV for a couple days, decompress, listen to a good album, listen to your favorite album, read a book, spend some time with yourself, go walking, eat. I mean, I don't know. You don't have to do the exercise at all. But anyways, come back Monday. I think we have an all new episode, even though it's Labor Day. And that's it, you guys. Thank you. I don't know. I don't know if this was my best week of shows, but we got through it. It's just this week kicked my ass. But thank you for being here for me all week. And I will talk to you very soon. Bye.